Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back.
The party is just starting now. We're gonna put the show on.
World champions will be crowned, legends will be made. This is gonna be epic.
This is a dream come true.
And let's go for the next one.
Welcome to Cape Verde, everybody, for the season premiere over here on the island of Sal. We are at the world-renowned Punta Preta. This right-hander needs no introduction. We've had some of the best events in the history of kite surfing right here. We are getting started. Athletes have already done their registration. They're doing the skippers meeting to know the ins and the outs of what is going to go down here at the competition. We are going to be streaming live, getting everything ready for you guys. Make sure to stay with the action.
And good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome to Cape Verde here in the island of Sal. One of the most exciting stops we have on tour. And what better way to start it off than here already with action out there on the water. I'm Joe Siasta, and joining me here in the booth, I got Tom Court. Tom, good morning, mate.
Good morning, Joe. Good morning, everybody out there. And what a pleasure it is to be here this morning on this beautiful island of Sal and at one of the best kite surfing wave spots in the world, and with one of the best forecasts it looks like this week.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah, it's looking like the weekend is already saying about 3 to 3.5 meters. The swell direction will change a bit and Punta Preta will be firing. Here you can see our event setup. There we are with that perfect right-hander that peels off. It's about mid-tide at the moment. We had that low tide at about 7 o'clock this morning. High tide's being called for 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and we're just about to get started. But before we do, let's have a little look-see of who we have in this heat as we have them getting ready.
Yeah, there's a lot of riders that are very excited about this event, and I've spent the last few days hanging out with them, checking on their preparations, how they're getting ready for this very unique kite surfing wave. when you see this wave on pictures and videos, it looks like an easy wave to ride, but it's all about the technique and how you manage and approach the wave, especially on a kite. So it gives the local riders here a huge advantage because they spend a lot of time practicing riding at this spot and really dialing in how you ride these waves in this side offshore wind. If you follow kite surfing a lot, you'll know that riding a wave is all about the wind direction, and it changes your style and how you manage your kite whilst you're on the wave. As you can see here, the lineup doesn't get much better than this, and we've got some of the best riders on the water coming up now. We've got Roberto Barros, Gray Foster and Hendrik Lopez on the water right now, and they are kicking off today's heats. And it's looking like the action is going to be hotting up through the day.
Yeah, I mean, just look at the waves already here. Roberto Barros, this young man, he is one of the best surfers out here on the island, one of the top Cape Verdean surfers, and you can see with that style. Let's have a little look-see at the scores. As we have 3 athletes out there on the water, we're going to try and get each one of them as much as possible, but we're going to, you can see in the blue lycra there from the US of A, that is Gray Foster. So as it stands, Tom, it looks like we have 8.03 is going to be Roberto Barros. Then we have a 8.33 Gray Foster, but the winner and at the moment leading the pack, the local boy Hendrik Lopez, even though he goes under the flag of Switzerland. And just look at the color of that water.
Yeah, I was actually watching Roberto surf the other day, and he, like you say, he is one of the best local surfers on the island, and he did actually injure himself. He injured his leg on one of the heavier waves a couple of days ago, so I know he's actually dealing with that injury right now. You can see him on the water not looking so comfortable, and I think, you know, it could affect him in this heat and in the competition, but he's definitely one of the better local rippers, and like I say, local riders have the advantage here. They know the wave so well, but it's always a risk when you're riding in some of the best conditions in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it is one of the things we caught up with Mito Monteiro before, where he's put in his interview up here, but one of the things he was saying is wave selection is key. I mean, the guys and the girls out there on the water, they're the best anyways. They are the top athletes in the world here for the 2024 season. If they get on the wave, we know they're going to perform. But the important thing for them is to be able to pick off those small little gems to be able to juice it as much as possible and get those higher scores. We caught up with some of our judges as well, and kind of what they're looking for is commitment, wave selection, and how they surf the wave. We want them to use the kite to their advantage and not to kind of dangle off and pull themselves through sections. And you can really see that the likes of Roberto, obviously a very talented surfer, and then we can see it in a lot of the Brazilians as well, Pedro Matos and Sebastian Moreira. The athletes that have the pure surfing background really does come out strong here on the competition floor. All right, so there we can already see that is Hendrik Lopez trying to get himself aired off the end there, but unfortunately missing his board. The guy's kind of starting to get into it, and you can see when they take off on the set is one wave after the other.
Yeah, and I think one thing that's really important for you guys, you know, out there to realize is how much kite surfing on waves change depending on the wind direction, and the wind direction can change by a few degrees, and that changes your whole approach to the way you ride a wave. And especially here at Punta Preta, where you're really getting to link turns down the line, which is quite rare on a kite, it really makes a massive difference how you manage your kite, how you manage your board, and how you ride the wave. And for me, that's what it's all about. It's all about riding the wave, showing that pure surf style, and using the wave to your advantage without using that kite to overpower you down the line. Hitting that critical section of the wave, getting as deep as possible without making too many mistakes with the kite at the same time.
Yeah, and especially as it is really offshore the wind here, it's kind of side off to cross off is what we got here at Punta Preta. You really have to make sure that you keep that kite nice and low so it actually keeps you on the wave. We have sometimes when the kite kind of goes a little bit higher, you get pulled off of the back, which is kind of one of the standout points here for the wave riding of Punta Preta. You can see there Roberta just going off the back there, but kind of at that bottom to end section. We're coming up on about 2 minutes left of this heat. 20-minute heats, 3-minute transitions out there. Our athletes are looking at the top 2 waves are the ones that are going to give them the score, and they can have a maximum of 10 waves. So there we can see it looks like Hendrik Lopez in the lead with a 10.30 and Gray Foster with a 10.16 and an 8.03. So Hendrik Lopez at the moment in the lead.
Another thing that makes a massive difference, Joe, is their stance. As you can see, like some riders are backside, some riders are front side, and also with kite surfing as well, some riders can ride both ways. So it's technical from that aspect. You've got a lot of riders choosing to have a backhand attack, which often means you can get more vertical on the face, but it makes it harder to re-enter the wave. And then you've got other riders with their front hand hitting the wave so they can judge it nice and easily, but it makes it harder to re-enter. So it's a real toss-up between these riders' skills, how they choose to approach the wave, and obviously riding so close to the rocks, there's always an element of jeopardy as well.
Absolutely, as always, those rocks, they do take a good punch, and they will take a nice little nibble out of you. Well, there you go. So that is the end of that first heat. It looks like Hendrik Lopez is going to take the lead, and with a very nice last wave we saw there with the little bird in the sky, the bird's eye view. So it looks like the local boy Hendrik Lopez is going to take the win in this first heat, and we're going to have a little look at some of the action, because coming up next, let's not forget, in this round number 1, we are going to be having a lot of all of the top athletes, as it is a 24-man fleet out there. Let's just enjoy and take a little look-see at the day number 1 here for the Qatar Airways GKA Kite World Tour. All right, well, just look at those colors. While we're waiting, as we have a little transition, we're going to take a short commercial break. And welcome back, everybody, as we are going to be continuing on. So there we have, coming up next, we're going to have Pedro Matos, Kelton Lopez, and Joe Silva. These are going to be the three boys that are going to be battling it out against themselves and Mother Nature, Tom. And it looks like we've already got sets coming our way.
Yeah, the waves are going to be building today. It's looking like an exciting up-and-coming forecast we've got here for Punta Preta. The next few days are going to be very interesting, and today is all about warming up for these riders, sizing up the wave, getting used to their kites, getting used to their gear setups, and just testing each other out on this knockout round, just to see who's going to be occupying those top spots in the coming days. But as this break gets bigger, the consequences get higher, and at the moment you can see it's side offshore wind. They're just dialing in their top turns, figuring out how they can get those deep attacks on those waves, and look at that.
Yeah, Pedro all the way down the line on that one. Pedro Matos, he is one of the top athletes that we have out here on tour. He has been on multiple times on podiums and taken a couple of event wins himself as well. I'm going to say one of the main players for this season.
I would agree, definitely. I spoke to him just yesterday, and he's been surfing this wave for the last few days because there hasn't been so much wind. And his strategy behind understanding the point break is actually to surf it, to understand how the wave really works, how the wave breaks. And once you know how to surf a wave, you can understand how the reef works, and then you can really start to take that kite element to it and really show a true surf style as you're going down the line. Because as we say, what we want to see from these riders is how they're actually riding the wave. The kite helps them get into the wave, the kite helps them choose the wave that they're going to take, but we want to see them really using that board to drive themselves down the line and get critical with their turns.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, let's not forget, last year, Pedro came in 4th position. So he took the 2nd place in that mini final against Ayrton Corsaluna, who was on absolute fire. So, you know, Pedro definitely knows what it is to be on those top spots, and also 3rd overall last year. So, yeah, like you say, the guys that can surf, it really does push through. But that guy there with the rasters, here we can see Kelton Lopez also backside, so starting to mix it up like you said before, Tom. But the other athlete with the rasters, Joe Silva. Joe, apart from being our event organizer, he is one of the local boys from back in the days together with Mito. He knows this wave like the back of his hand, and you can really tell just how they read it, how they make those sections. It looks like he was trying to go for a little fish there, though.
Yeah, it's when you watch it over time, you realize that it's all about the setup for these turns, you know, especially with a kite. It's all about drawing out that bottom turn, making sure that kite's in the right place so that you've got the perfect timing to hit the lip and attack the wave, and you can also get that re-entry back into the wave, because it's easy to stall in the lip and not quite get that fluid re-entry. But I would say that the forehand riders have a slight advantage when it comes to the bottom turn, but they find it harder to hit the lip as vertically, I would say.
All right, there you can see there's Joe Silva, a beautiful replay. Those colors, Tom.
I mean, it doesn't get much better than this, to be honest, Joe. And for me, it's super exciting just to be here. This is one of those waves that is iconic for kite surfing around the world, and I've ridden it myself. It's not an easy wave to ride, but when you get a wave here, it is one of the best feelings that you can get on a kite. It's just 5, 6, 7, 8 turns down the line, and when things line up like we've got today, almost perfect conditions, side offshore wind, there's no better feeling.
Yeah, no, I mean, like you say, it is just one of those places you want to come and have a little bit of time to enjoy, because you do have to get to know the wave. It does has its quirks. You really do have to, you know, kind of know what it wants, what you need to do, and be in that right position, which is when you can really tell the local boys. They know the spots, they know the diamonds in the rough that they can find. But at the moment, Joe Silva, Kelton Lopez, Pedro Matos making easy work out there, but it is the Brazilian Matos in the lead with that 5.43. All right, so Joe, it looks like he's just, having a little wiggle, having a little wobble out on the board there, mate.
Yeah. Well, one of the most interesting games when you're on the water here is actually staying upwind and staying in that key position at the top of the reef, because it may look easy, but I can tell you that it's very difficult to stay on point and at the top of the reef here, because the wind's side offshore, and you can see from that drone shot there, it's gusty. It's not a consistent breeze, so staying in priority at the top of the reef and waiting for those sets to come through is a big part of that game.
Yeah, another thing here also is there's a priority rule in this competition, which we're gonna catch up with one of the judges very shortly to explain that. But basically, the athletes, they have to go out to a buoy out the back, do a tack around it, and that will give them the priority to know if they can, who has that wave. That is going to happen when we go into those 2-man heats. At the moment out there with the 3-man heats, it's a gentleman's agreement. It is the first person who's on the swell is going to be the guy that has that priority. Look at this one here, Pedro Matos. This is what we want to see. All the way up the top, bottom turn, linking. Oh, unusual unforced error there for Pedro.
Unforced errors. Yeah, well, as we got on day one, the riders are warming up, and I think a massive difference between a lot of the riders is how much time they've spent here. But as you can see, some riders have flown in today, some riders have been here for weeks, and I think that's going to really pay in over the course of this event as to how much time they've spent on the water, how well they understand this wave, and like I say, how they can hold priority at the top of the reef. For me, that's a really big game. From this drone shot, you can start to see the sets rolling through out the back, but when you're on the water, it's a bit of guesswork, it's a bit of understanding, and it's a lot of local knowledge.
Yeah, no, I mean, experience is key, as they like to say. Especially, we're not young little grasshoppers now, mate. We're getting old.
Well, you'd hope that would give us the advantage these days, Joe, but I guess that's why we're sat here in the box.
Exactly. No, I would get thrown all the way across the water with all these boys. One of the things I will say is incredible to see. I mean, both of us, we've been in the sport for a very long time, is how the level and how it's just increased and increased. I mean, remember the days of like Space Monkeys and those, when you had Jaime Martin starting with some of the strapless era to see where, the likes of Ayrton and the boys, where they're taking it. It is so cool.
Well, I think, for me, it's got such a bright future, and kite surfing is something so different to kiteboarding, let's say, where you're riding flat water, chasing those waves, finding these conditions. Like, it's really rare to find conditions this good in the world. And, just like in surfing, you've got to really dedicate yourself to finding the right conditions, following the wind, finding the right spots, chasing the swells. And these riders spend a lot of time and a lot of effort to get the practice that they need in order to compete at this level. And I think there's very, very few places in the world that offer a setup like this.
Yeah, I mean, you were pretty much, the crowd is like, 2 to 3 meters away from the athlete. They can pretty much feel, if when we start to see it getting bigger, which it looks like it is going to be by the end of the weekend, you can feel the athletes out there in the barrel, and you can see the white in their eyes. It's such a kind of like a coliseum where they can really see everything that's going down, and also for the athletes to be able to hear their local crowd shout out for them from the rocks is a very cool place to be. And just look at that nice little floater there from Carlton, just missing out on the landings.
Yeah, closed it out to the rocks right there. If you crash your kite out there, you make a mistake, especially with the kite. There's some real consequences to be had. You don't want to be anywhere near those rocks with your lines in the water. You can see some really good front hand attacks there. Nice vertical hits as he goes down the line. But yeah, 3-man heats. It's tricky to choose your wave, and look at this. There's a nice set starting to roll through here now.
All right, so here we can see Josh Silva dropping in the F1 rider. Look at that, up on the top, boom, powerful hack. Here we go. Now, going to get past that second section. This is when the boys start to get nice and close to the rocks and say a little high. And all the way down the line, 2 good linking turns, a little bit of a foam climb there for Joe. And if he can make it past this, this is going to be a nice scoring potential for him. All the way down, just losing his feet up there. But there you can really see how long the wave of Punta Preta is.
Yeah, I mean, this wave really just goes on and on and on. But you can see it from the top of the reef, how the wind direction changes, because the wave bends in down the coastline. So when you choose a wave at the top of the reef, you've got a very side shore wind direction, which gives you the advantage with the kite. But as you go further and further down the line, you really start to see the rider's skill about how they're dealing with their kite, how they're dealing with their turns. I mean, oh, look at that.
Yeah, there we can see that other angle of that last wave you just saw there from Joe Silva. And also here, Kelton going backside. Very stylish rider, this young Cape Verdean. And Bliss quite a lot of time out in Portugal, so obviously knows it a lot when it comes to waves. Both are very good locations for surfing. And here we can see a nice little set had already come through. They're going back out to wait and see and get that next one, as they are just coming up on about 7 minutes left in this heat. 20-minute heats, 3-minute transitions. Top 2 waves out of 10s are the ones that are going to count. All right, so there, Calton with the blue. We just saw Joe Silva as well. Let's have a little look at the scores. All right, 10.83. So Pedro Matos in the lead, and he is very consistent. Look at that, 5.43 and a 5.40. Now, consistency is key, as they like to say.
Well, come all the way from Brazil, and as we've seen, he gets some really good conditions down on the south coast of Brazil. I've been following him for a while on his Instagram, and he really does know how to get the most out of different wave conditions. And he's also been here for a few weeks already, I think, training, surfing, and just getting used to this spot, hanging out with the locals, studying their strategy. And I think he's going to this competition with confidence.
Yeah, and look at that, scores just dropping in now. It's starting to get close. Joe Silva, a 5.10 on that last wave. So he has now gone to a 9.03, so 1 point shy of Pedro Matos. As I say, we're just coming on about 5 minutes to go in this heat. Second heat of the day, round number 1 here of the Qatar GKA Kite World Cup here in Cape Verde. And what a way to start off the season. About, what would you say, shoulder to head high waves already starting to roll in?
Shoulder to head high and building. I mean, it was a lot smaller when we arrived this morning, and I think we're looking at a really good day of building swell, and hopefully a good week of building swell. There's potentially some very big waves coming through towards the end of the week, which is going to create a very interesting final. But at the moment, these riders are sort of taking these early heats to dial in their equipment, choose the right boards for the day, choose the right kites for the wind strength, and there's a lot of decisions which make big changes when it comes to kite surfing in waves. And for me, that's one of the most exciting things about kite surfing in waves is how much variety there is, not just in your boards, but in your kites, in your angle of attack, in your stance, whether you hit it backhand, front hand. And I think personally for me, sometimes backhand attack is better, because you can go a lot more vertical and really use that upper body to sort of pivot through the turn. So you may think that a forehand rider has the advantage, but I think we're going to see, just like we see here with Joe Da Silva, it's backhand attack is really working for him.
Yeah, Kelton here dropping in, and let's not forget the winner of last year, Matthew Lopez, is backhand all the way down this wave. He can actually go switches, which is when he goes from his goofy stance to a regular stance, but when he starts to drop in with that backhand, like you say, they can start to get that board vertical, even going beyond vertical, where they kind of pivot it off and take it up and around. But yeah, talking about a little bit about forecast, Tom. So at the moment, we've got Friday, 16th of February, and we're calling about 1.8 to 1.9 meters, and then with a period of around 7 to 8. The day that everybody's looking for, which is where we're trying to aim the finals for, is Sunday. Sunday, they're calling 2.5 meters and above with 16 seconds. That is the day that everybody is waiting for, and about 20 knots. So at the moment, conditions are good, getting through those early rounds. There you can see the event set up, and already the crowd starting to come in and just chill out on those rocks. Perfect place to just open a nice cold one, mate, and watch some action.
Exactly. Maybe a little early in the day for that just yet, but
5 o'clock somewhere, mate. 5 o'clock somewhere.
But yeah, it is looking very exciting on the forecast. As you can see, this isn't actually a particularly special forecast today, but as you can see, the wave conditions are already really good. So if we're looking at the 2.5 meter forecast at 15 to 16 seconds coming through here in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean with nothing to stop the swell rolling through, it could be absolutely huge. And I've been talking to a lot of the local guys, and a few of them have been calling it as one of the biggest forecasts they've seen in a long time. So I'm excited to watch it, and I would probably be scared to be out there. So it's going to be interesting to see who favors the brave, I guess.
Absolutely. I mean, especially one of the things that when this location gets big, it's where you start to separate the boys from the men, because there is where you really have to commit. I mean, obviously a big shout out to our boy James Carew, has been a multiple time world champion himself, and when it comes to size, that guy just starts to get a smile on his face. The Australian powerhouse, as we like to know. I mean, unfortunately, he sustained an injury last year in breaking one of his legs, and now getting back into it. I know he's just starting to get back onto water, and I know he's going to be biting a few teeth, and one step back where he's going to be charging all the way forward as soon as he's back, and it'll be great to have him back here on tour. And I know he's going to be looking at that forecast, and it's not going to be a happy Vegemite.
Exactly, we're missing you here, James, definitely, but maybe too powerful for his own good. It sounds like he's on the mend though, and his recovery's going really well, but he is definitely going to be spewing that he's missing this forecast coming in the next couple of days. But it's going to be good to watch, and I'm sure he's going to be training his way back very soon. But we're coming towards the end of this second heat. The scores are looking good for Pedro Matos. He's had best wave selection so far with a 2-wave score of 10.83. But we're waiting for scores to come in.
Yeah, I mean, Pedro, one of the things, he's very consistent. I know Josh Silva is on the hunt, as you know he's close, but still, early rounds, nobody's going home. They're just, starting to make their way through, as we have that 24-man ladder out there at the moment. And the idea is, I've just been told that the round number 3 is going to be released for today of the men, so we're going to be continuing on, and then hopefully some of the ladies are going to be coming out onto the water as well. A lot of heavy hitters when it comes to the women athletes as well. Muna White, winner of last year and world champion overall 2023, is here. She is definitely a queen when it comes to this location, coming out of Hawaii, surfing, it runs in her blood. But then also, we've got Capucine de la Noir. We have a lot of the local riders. We also have, yeah, exactly. And let's see how that is going to go, what is going to happen. But one of the things we are very happy about is that the forecast is there, the conditions are there, and our athletes are ready to go.
Yeah, and I think that's always the worry when you're planning a wave kite surfing event is, well, when you're planning any kite surfing event, to be honest, is the forecast. Firstly, you need wind, but not only do you need wind for this discipline, you need waves too. So, I mean, the excitement around the up-and-coming forecast is palpable. Everybody's stoked on this, and for me, it's just the best thing to see that we're going to get some good waves and some good action, because kite surfing in waves is one of the most underrated things. And I think to have a great event for the start of the GKA season, to show what is really possible on a kiteboard in big waves, is going to be great for the sport. It's going to be great for us.
Yeah, no, I mean, it doesn't, and in a location like this, it doesn't get much better. We are just coming up to the end of this heat, as we are in the final moments, 30 seconds on the ticket to go. So it looks like at the moment it's going to be Pedro Matos in first, second position, Joe Silva, third position. We are going to have Kelton Lopez as we will wait for that to be official. But already, great conditions out here, day number 1 in Cape Verde. And there you go, sportsmanship all the way. That's what we want to see. And there it is, red flag is in the sky. Welcome back, everybody, and there we can see a nice little yacht going in the background. And coming up next, we have Titi Lopez, Matt Maxwell from South Africa, and Charlie Marta, my underdog. This young man from the Reunion Island throws down when it comes to wave riding. Looking forward to see how the off time in the off season has gone for him, and see how he comes back here full power for Cape Verde. So there you are. That is the heat coming up next in less than a minute.
Interesting to see Max Maxwell all the way from South Africa as well. It's good to see a South African contingent. As we know, Cape Town and South Africa is one of the hotspots for kite surfing around the world, and more talent coming from Cape Town, coming from all over South Africa, both in the waves, both in the big air and freestyle. So I mean, it's a good crew from Cape Town, and it's good to see them representing here. Yeah, no, and Matt doing very well back there in Dakar, making his way all the way into those final rounds, and he has such a laid-back, chilled style. But he's that kind of a guy. Like you can represent him out there in the water, but when he gets on a wave, he really gives it his all. And it's great to see him back here for action in the 2024 season. So there it is, green flag in the sky. It is a go, go, go. Just as chilled in the car park as he is on the wave. Absolutely. There you go. All right, let's see. We've got local representative in this heat as well. I mean, I think there's pretty much going to be local representatives in every heat, isn't there? Yeah, very strong Cape Verdean throw down here. And obviously, Titi Lopez, this guy can surf. He only competes at this event. This is his local break. We've been saying it all day, and we will say it all day long. Local knowledge plays a huge factor here in Punta Preta. And one of the things I like about Titi, he has very nice, big,
open face turns. He really has that kind of, you know, like fanning open power surfing style. So looking forward to see him coming here. Waves are a little bit smaller. Charlie Martin, as I've been saying, my favorite underdog, this, you know, the Cabrina rider, comes from the reunion, very talented surfer. Let's see how he's going to do here as we are starting to get ready. All right, so it looks like starting off with a little bit of a lull out here. So don't forget, again, what are our judges looking for? They're looking for commitment, 100% pure surfing, as this is a pure surfing event. There we go, first wave dropping in, Matt Maxwell.
And front side attacks, small waves, but he's making the most of it. Most important thing is to get some chalk on the board straight away. Obviously doesn't see the potential in that one. One thing about this wave is not every wave is the same. This reef has very interesting sections. As you can see there, it's got some really fast sections, some quite unpredictable sections, and as the wave changes in size, it changes in nature as well. So like if you're trying to make the most of a small wave here, it's very different to making the most of a big wave. And as we're going to see as the week progresses, we're going to start to see some barrels start to happen. Oh, look at that. That was a really nice turn just going down out there. There's some nice front hand attacks starting to happen, and there's going to be some big scores dropping, I think, after this.
Yeah, that was Charlie Martin there all the way down the line, and he's continuing on as this is now going to be heat number 3. So it looks like we got about around a 2-ish for the wave from Matt, so still waiting for waves to be scored, but here we're trying to get a little bit of a shampoo there.
Look at this, yeah. Managed to squeeze back into the wave, but keep it going all the way down the line. You can see as the wind goes more offshore, as you go down the point, you start to get that nice fin drive out the top of the wave.
Yeah, you got it nice. Always good to get those fins loose.
It's interesting that some riders choose to use bigger boards here with more volume so that they've got the board to push them back into the wave, and other riders choose to use much smaller boards and use their kite a little bit more to get that drive. So there is like quite a lot of technical differences, I think, between the different kite setups, especially as the conditions start to change.
Yeah, one of the things we also start to see is kite sizes. Like you take the likes of Mitu, you always see him on a smaller kite because he just wants kind of the kite to get him into the wave and use it at key moments. But then you also see other athletes who like to have that kind of engaged power.
Exactly, here we go. Can local knowledge make the most of the small wave? Looks like struggling to lock into a good one there.
Yeah, not quite getting on there, but here we have the South African. Let's see what he's got. Wave number 2 for Matt Maxwell. Here we go. Looks like he's eyeing up a little bit of an air. No, he was having a little look-see.
Yeah, it looks like there's a lull in the ocean at the moment out there. There's not too many good waves coming through, but as we've seen all morning, it's very up and down. Like there's some big sets coming through, and the conditions do change quite quickly here. In fact, that's something that always surprises me about Cape Verde. Having been here a few days already, you could be sat on the beach 1 minute and it's completely flat with no wind, and then the next minute there's an 8-foot set coming through and you've missed it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it is so exposed that it can, you know, appear or disappear on the blink of an eye, but it's so cool to have already conditions for the first day. Everybody is hyped. It's one of those comps where people arrive and you can see them smiling because it's a location that, you know, touch wood always does and has delivered for us. And then let's not forget we got the combined event here with our sister tour of the GWA Wingfoiling World Tour, where we have the wingfoilers coming out as well. But at the moment, the kite surfers are on the water and dropping in to Lopez.
Here we go, front hand attack on a small board out there, but seems to be working for him. But he really he knows his stuff, especially when it starts to get big. I've ridden with him out there, and he doesn't back off from anything, that's for sure. Even those really deep turns and those breaking lips, he's ready to hit them. Max on a foamy one on the inside. He's struggling to get a good wave, it looks like, at the moment. Wave choice is everything, much like in surfing, you know. Once you're out there, you could choose to wait for your whole heat to find the right wave, or you can try and take as many waves as possible, but often choosing your waves correctly is the big difference.
Yeah, and especially when it's kind of, let's say, a little bit on the smaller side, if you pick off those set waves and perform on them, that is going to make all of the difference, and the judges are definitely going to reward you for kind of, you know, choosing and having that patience. But once again, there we can see bird's eye view and the blue crystal clear waters here of Punta Preta, this world-renowned right-hander peeling off of the reef, and it is so cool to be back. And watch out, 2024, the GKA is coming, and it's coming in hard.
Yeah, look at that. It's just so beautiful to see when you start to see those waves racking off that point, and you start to see this point break really baring its teeth and working how it's supposed to work. It really is like no other right-hand point break in the world. I mean, there's maybe a handful of waves that can even hold a candle to Punta Preta on its day, and it's just an amazing place to be hosting a GKA kite surfing event. And for me, that's one of the most important things about kite surfing and events behind kite surfing is to make sure that they are at the best spots with the best waves, and in the end, that's what's going to attract the best riders, because we're seeing more and more riders coming over from surfing because they realize how much advantage there is with kite surfing, how much variety there is when it comes to being able to make the most of different conditions and get on the water in a large variety of conditions. So it's not just about perfect waves, it's about perfect wind, it's about a perfect setup, and being able to read that forecast properly and really make the most of it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It looks like our drone was just having a little breather there, going a bit of a black screen, but we are back. And yeah, here we have, so at the moment, first position, it is Titi Lopez with a 5.78, but early days, Matt already has a pretty decent score, 5.2 feet, but Charlie Martin has the highest wave score, and there he is with the Cabrina about to drop in. All right, Charlie, already 2 nice turns. Oh, nose diving, unfortunately, up there in the top section.
Didn't see that reef section coming there, but like you say, some sections can be really mellow, and then other sections can be brutal on the bottom turn. And this wave changes like the wind, as they say.
Yeah, no, it is, and the sky is definitely very blue over here, John. It is nice to have a little bit of warm weather. Europe's still a little bit on the chilly side. I don't know about over there in the UK, mate, but Spain has been cold.
Well, it's an absolute pleasure to be out here, I can tell you that, coming straight from the UK to this paradise island. And to be even witnessing these conditions, for me, it's a dream. And it's so nice to be able to add to this event, to be part of the future of kite surfing, and to sort of communicate to you guys how good kite surfing in waves can be, how exciting it is, and how it really is like the next level in terms of interpreting the conditions, interpreting the waves, the forecast, and the wind. You've just got that extra element that you don't have when it comes to surfing.
Yeah, and I mean, who doesn't like to surf a good wave? I think it's it's kind of one of the basic places and the starting points of water sports. All of us have loved to see those waves coming in, and once surfing, you got to pay your dues to be able to be good at surfing. You are learning every single day, but that first wave where you stand up and you start to glide across the water, I think all of us will remember that.
Yeah, but when you really start to progress as well in surfing, it becomes is a lot about interpreting those conditions. Reading the conditions correctly, reading the waves correctly, being in the right place at the right time. I mean, for me, that's often what makes a really good surfer from just a good surfer, being in the right place at the right time. And I think, with kite surfing waves, it just adds that extra element because you've got the wind involved as well.
Right, so now a little bit of a lower there. You can see Monteleon over there in the back, the mountain of the line. As you can see, it looks like a line just kind of chilling out and grooving. Beautiful surfing location, that. And then behind that, you got Secrets and the famous Alibaba. I mean, there's so many good waves here in Cape Verde.
Yeah, I mean, it really is a wave-strewn island, like so many of the islands in the Atlantic, like the Canary Islands. Cape Verde is another island chain that is naturally blessed with its wave conditions. I mean, it just gets pounded by those Atlantic swells almost all season, and there are waves for days here. No waves quite as special as Punta Preta itself, but there's different waves for different days and different depending on how you like to surf. But here we go, dropping in, choosing his waves carefully.
All right, that looks like Matt. Yeah, Matt, the F1 rider. Let's see what he's got. Nice. Oh, good first section there.
Nice. Here we go. You see him chasing down the line to get around that whitewater section. Can he do it? Can he get another vertical attack on that wave? It's all about teeing up that bottom turn, making sure that kite's in the right place, and making sure that you've got your body position correct. There's a nice little air section there as he goes down the line into that offshore section, and then you can see the wave sort of petering out towards the end of the reef. But you can see from the drone shot how amazing that reef is. Look, there we go. He comes to the end of the reef onto the beach there and just finishing it off with a nice little smack in the beach section.
Yeah, good wave there from the South African all the way along. I will say kind of that mid-section, just kind of straight lining it to kind of get a couple of good turns. But let's, got to be interesting. Let's have a look at his scores. At the moment, he has a 2.40 and together with a 2.83. I reckon maybe it will increase on that backup score, but what the judges will be looking for is those athletes that are surfing the wave, so they're just kind of using the power of the wave and not just kind of drifting off with the kite. Still, as you said before, it's about getting chalk on the board and, racking up those numbers. So far, if this is above about a 2.6-ish, he will be moving his way into first position, as we are about just over halfway through this now. And here we can see Titik Lopez, the local boy, dropping in as well. And there is a good wave for the Cabrini rider in the back, Charlie Martin.
Yeah, in conditions like this, it's so much about wave selection, I think. I think the judges are going to be looking for wave size as well, as well as obviously technical moves, surf style, not using the kite too much. But I think wave selection, especially when it's small like this, really comes in, because if a wave's too small on this reef, it starts to get a little too quick, you start to get a little too close to the rocks, and it makes it really hard to drive that bottom turn into that vertical top turn. And you end up using your kite a lot more to get around those sections. So if it was me out there, I think it would be about waiting out the back, choosing those lines carefully, and really picking the waves that you take. Because as we can see, at the moment there's some quite low scores, good combos. Charlie Martin looking good with a 4.67, the highest score of the heat so far. But yeah, it's anyone's game so far. Oh, here we go. That was a really nice turn. I think that was one of the better turns we've seen, but is the wave going to go anywhere? He got one of the best off the tops there, working it down the line and hoping it's a grower. Dodging the rocks on the inside, as I mentioned earlier. If the waves are too small, you're in danger of removing your fins on that reef. Well, there we go. As you can see, ending on the rocks, literally feet from the beach. Here we can see Machu Lopez, last year's winner, getting in the zone on the beach. He's such a strong rider, but definitely a rider that needs to get his head prepared for what's to come. He's got such a good connection with the ocean and such a good connection with this spot, but he can also get inside his own head.
Yeah, no, I mean, we've said it before, sometimes Matthew can be his worst enemy. He is such a psychological rider, but last year at this location, at this event, he was all guns blazing. You could see the fire in his eye, and he was going out there on the water just going, you know what, this is my home break, and I am taking the crown. And that he did, and it was so cool for him to see it, because I know how much that meant for him to be able to, you know, in front of your home crowd, to be able to take a win at a World Cup. Very special moment.
Yeah, exactly. I think for him it's all about being relaxed. You know, having spoken to him the last couple of days, it's about just getting his head in the right place, being relaxed, not putting too much pressure on yourself. And I think that, you know, pays for a lot of the riders out there. You don't want to rush into those waves. You don't want to rush into your wave selection. You want to really spend a bit of time. I mean, we've got 20-minute heats out there, so there is time on the water to take your pick of the waves, you know, because every time you take a wave, you've got to then sail back upwind. And having ridden this spot, I can tell you that getting back upwind is one of the hardest bits about it. And when you see this, when you see the best riders in the world riding this wave, it looks easy. You see pictures of this wave and it looks easy, but when you're actually out there, it's surprisingly difficult to even get to the top of the lineup.
Yeah, no, I mean, it is such a technical place. You know, there's some wave place, you know, for example, take the likes of Mauritius. Mauritius, you have one eye, which is one of the best left-handers that you can have. But a little bit off to the left, you have, you know, Chamois, you have Manawa, which are kind of easier, mellower waves. Punta Preta, you either know what you're doing or recommend probably not to go out there and just have a good time at Kite Beach and then start to get into it going on the smaller days. Like any location, when you turn up to a wave or a beach like this, talk to the locals, get to know them, you know, pay your respects, ask them, hey, how does it work? How are the priorities? What is the location? Where are the rocks? Where are the riptides? It's so important to find out what surrounds you because, you know, in places like this, Mother Nature is always boss.
And definitely, and with kite surfing specifically as a sport, and that's actually one thing that makes kite surfing so special, is everybody relies on everybody else to look after each other as well. So when you arrive at a place, especially like Cape Verde, talk to the locals. They are the most friendly people you will ever meet. Get the load down. Don't just think, you know, go out. Don't just go out and think that you can shred the spot, because it doesn't matter how good you are if you don't know some of the local tricks. It can bite you in the end.
Yeah, and Charlie already 3 good hits on this one. He's got that kite high, meaning he's going to be looking for that air. There it is, a little bit of a grab, and just loses the under his feet, but he's looking to improve on a 2.30 backup score, or 4.67 on that first one. So good so far. So looking like the young Frenchman is on full steam ahead. All right, so there it is. So it looks like Charlie Martin is going to take the win of that last heat. Let's have a look at the highlights of that action. Welcome back, everybody. So there we can see that was the heat that we just had, which was Titi Lopez, Matt Maxwell, and Charlie Martin. And we are going to be going into heat number 4.
Charlie Martin taking the win on that heat. He's the youngest shredder out there, looking to be a hopeful in this competition, and obviously managing the conditions well so far. It's going to be very interesting to see how the younger riders deal with the conditions as they grow in size this week. But here we go. This is the heat that is currently just started.
Yeah, there we can see Matthew Lopez, Artur Moraes, and Jorge Sansa. So Matthew Lopez, definitely one of the men to look out on the screen, as he is the winner of last year.
Yeah, Matthew Lopez, not only one of the best kiters that you will see on this wave, but one of the nicest guys on the beach as well. He's just such a good guy, so relaxed, and you will see that in his style as he approaches this wave. What's going to be really interesting is to also see whether he chooses to ride backside or frontside, knowing that he is basically fluent in both.
Oh yeah, he can throw down no matter what. I reckon he could probably handstand on his board and get a wave as well.
It's true. I've seen him get some of the best backhand barrels on a kite that I've ever seen, to be fair. And,
I know.
I think it will be interesting to see him riding in the smaller conditions too today, because he's got his air game dialed in. He's got, well, you name it. He's got most of the skills on lock.
Yeah, no, he really has. And also you can see out there Artur Moraes, very talented Brazilian surfer, likes the bigger waves. And then this man out there, Jorge Sansa, local boy, such a cool vibe. As you know, the kind of the saying down here in Cape Verde is no stress. That is the word of the island. This guy just has that laid back, flowy, fluid style. But Matthew, he is hungry, because this would be starting off the season with a bang. Let's not forget, last year he did take the win here, and then on the overall rankings coming in that top 3 as well. So he knows what it is. He's been a world champion himself before, the duotone athlete, hailing out of Cape Verde under the flag of Spain. But going to be interesting to see how that off season has been for him, because as you said before, Tom, very mind game sport, very mind game athlete. Let's see how his vibe is out there on the water.
Yeah, it's interesting, speaking to a lot of the athletes, a lot of them have done different things in the off season. I think it's one of the first things I've asked them, how their off season has been. And it's interesting to hear actually that, a lot of them have been taking a lot of rest. They're not like kite surfing all the time, but they're just taking rest to prepare themselves for this event.
A little bit of a lull here at the moment. So starting, we got Jorge Sansa with that 0.05. So just kind of the guys having a little look-see on a couple of ways. And there's that marker. You can see that red flag out the back. That is about that priority, which we are going to catch up with our head judge very shortly to explain that priority rule. And yeah, it is a bit flat out there at the moment. Let's see, obviously, tide-wise, we are about coming up on mid-tide.
That's what I was about to say.
It was lowish around 10:30, 11 o'clock, it was kind of at that highest point, and now going down again. So going to be interesting to see what is happening. So it is going to be around coming about to high tide right now.
I mean, that's again goes back into what I was saying about forecasting, especially, you know, with kite surfing on waves and wave spots, surfing in general. There's a lot of elements that come into play, tide being a massive one, you know, and every break operates on, you know, differently on different tides. So not only have you got the wind, you've got the tide to consider, whether it's dropping, whether it's rising, whether it's high, whether it's low, how the reef is affected by that water change of level, and then you've also got the swell, the period of the swell, the direction of the swell. I mean, it could go on and on. For me, a large part of the game is forecasting.
Yes, Einstein's equation there, mate, I can tell you. I mean, also at the moment, the coefficient of the tide isn't too big. What does that mean is the change of the water isn't that huge. We've seen sometimes where it does, the coefficient goes up, it means there's more of a push. There's only about a meter in between the low to high tides here at the moment. 10:30, we are going to be coming, was that high tide moment. So we were about midway through at the moment. Let's see how that is going to influence the waves. It looks like a little bit of a lull here at the moment. There you can see out the back in the white, that is Matthew Lopez. There we can see Artur Moraes here in the blue from Brazil. And then just waiting to see if Jordi is going to be dropping in on the water. Day number 1, Cape Verde, the season premiere, the season opener down here on the beautiful island of Sal. And there it looks like on the bottom half, Jordi about to drop in a wave, but Artur Moraes having a little look-see as well.
You can see Matthew just biding his time out the back, waiting for those set waves to come through. I think that's very much Matthew's style. Look, you can see he's just holding position out there, knowing it's all about wave selection. This break is a break of many faces, but once you choose the right wave, you're onto a winner, and I think Matthew knows that. At the moment, as we can see, the chalk on the board is low, very low scoring points so far, but Matthew's yet to set his first, let's say.
They say it's a virtue.
They do say it's a virtue. He's using his patience to choose that right wave, but I think, you know, once he's on that wave, there's going to be very few mistakes made.
Yeah, and I mean, you can see Artur at the moment, so a 3.85 for that last wave. That kind of couple hits. We're having a couple of one-hit wonders out there at the moment, but still waiting for those scores to appear. Matthew Lopez is cruising and perusing, to say the least, out the back. He's just waiting for that wave to come through.
Next.
I mean, round number 1 for these guys, they know it's just getting into sync, but, you know, all of these athletes are very proud. They want to go out on top.
Yeah, you want to come out on top. Doesn't matter what heat you're in. It's all about coming out in that top spot and making sure that you progress through to the next round. I mean, obviously this is the warm-up round. It's the first round of the day. Everybody's dialing in their equipment, warming up their styles, and making sure that they're comfortable out there on the water. So no one's going to get knocked out yet, but it's a sign of things to come. Definitely, and one big part of competition in any sport is all about getting into the heads of the other competitors.
Yeah, and you can see those Cape Verdean flags flying nice and high in the sky as the vibe on the beach is starting to get down. But here, Artur Moraes, another couple big, powerful turns.
To me, it looks like Artur is really starting to dominate this heat. He's definitely got the best wave score so far, and a couple of those turns looking really, really convincing.
Yeah, and that wave from before looking to be around the 5-point averages, just waiting for that to drop in. And now another good one. So looking on full form, look, just see he engages from the bottom, boom, off the top. Very nice here from the Brazilian athlete.
Yeah, he really driving through the board as well, not really using his kite to get back into that wave. He's just, you know, using those fins, using that board speed, and just making the most of the waves that he's choosing. There's Matthew again, as we said, very relaxed. He's looking very relaxed.
He is. I mean, you could pretty much just say he's gone fishing. He is out the back and just chilling. 11 minutes into this heat, so just under 10 to go, and he is waiting for that set you said it before at the beginning of this heat, Tom, is that little bit of a lull. We are seeing that it looks like the frequency of the waves has dropped a bit since this morning.
Yeah, I think that must be something to do with the tide. Again, obviously not being a local from around here, I don't understand fully the effects of the tide on this wave, because it's quite a technical setup, but I think it must be do you know what times are the tides?
Yeah, so and the low tide is at 4:24 this afternoon, so it is in 4 hours time. So we're still quite a lot of water out there, but we are on the drop, and that can make a difference here. There's not so much of a push, but I tell you what, it looks like we got action all the way along. Let's have a look at that screen. Artur Moraes already dropping in. And here's that replay, boom, off the top.
He's finding waves where waves don't seem to be appearing, but look at these turns.
You know, the Brazilians, they know what it is to scratch and scramble for a couple of waves out there, and this young man already putting on a good performance, because he has a 5.83 and a 5.28, so good scores there. Artur Moraes already out of that combination, so, you know, Matthew, he is taking a chill, and that next score, I reckon, is going to be even bigger. Matthew is going to have to start to get his A game on if he wants to, you know, kind of be able to chill out a little bit more. You're world number 2, so second place overall last year, and the winner of this event last year. Let's see what happens.
Looks like the wind strength is building out there, though, so there's going to be no problem with the power in the kite, that's for sure. So all we can hope is that the sets start rolling through a little more consistently. Yeah. Here we go. We've got good bird's eye view there of the setup, the lineup. Can see how it rolls down the reef, but you know, with these smaller waves, you can see the riders really having to ollie the rocks almost, and really they're actually taking risks with losing fins when it comes to taking the smaller waves. Like if you do lose a fin mid-heat, it's a board change, it's time wasting, yeah, obviously it's worth taking the risks to get the waves, but at the same time, it could be the end of your heat. And here we have wild card.
Pablo Moraes.
Pablo Moraes has got into the event because another rider could not make it. You can see him warming up on the beach. He is more than stoked to be in the event, I can tell you that. Looking forward to getting out there on the water. Obviously, probably wasn't expecting to be out there today up until about 10 minutes ago, by the looks of it.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's what I call a last, a buzzer beater, last minute. All right, you know what, get out. Yeah, you're going to be on, Pablo. But he said he's been spent about a week here. We talked to him earlier this morning. Yeah. So he does know this place. He's been here multiple times. So going to be interesting to see, because he is going to be going up against Yanis Delmo and Gabriel Benetton. Now, that Brazilian athlete riding for core, he can throw down. Yadi's also coming out of Italy. But Gabriel, very, very good surfer. Looking forward to seeing that heat coming up, as that is going to be one of the top heats of this round, number 1.
I mean, one thing we can see from this heat, and one thing we know from surfing, is to never underestimate the Brazilians. They know what they're doing out there. They're always a good showing on the water, and they've got great support from their country as well. Brazil is a huge country that supports their surfers, their athletes in general, and they really take it seriously on the water, and they know what they're doing. So it's always a good thing never to underestimate the Brazilians when you're up against them.
All right, so Action making his way down. And that is Jordi Sansa there on that wave. It looks like we had a little secret appearance there from our head judge. All right, so there it looks like a set might be coming through. And I tell you what, Tom, we're coming up on about 5 minutes. 5 minutes to the end of the heat, and Matthew Lopez still yet to land a wave.
He has not even any chalk on the board yet. No chalk on the board. And yeah, I would say with less than 5 minutes to go, that is a very dangerous situation, even for Matthew.
All right, well, you know what? I've just been given the bird's eye, and we are going to go for Paulino Pereira, who's going to explain a little bit that priority system while we're waiting for the sets to come in.
For this competition, we will have a priority rule, an extra one, that we will use a mark upwind on the point break, where the riders need to cross the buoy, tack or jibe to have the priority. The heat will start and no one has priority. We will apply the normal rules. As soon as they start surfing, the first one tacking the mark, we will raise a flag and we give them priority. So they can choose on the point which wave he can take. Then after he surfs, the priority goes to the next one that tacked. Okay, so we will make sure that everyone that tacks upwind or jibes next to the buoy will have the priority, and that like that they have a better decision and a way of competing differently from the past.
All right, well, there it was. Paulino Pereira explaining exactly the ins and the outs of what you have to do for that priority. One of the new rules being added here. And Tom, look at that. It looks like there's finally going to be a set. And I tell you what, with just under 2 minutes to go, is this going to be a Hail Mary there for Matthew Lopez as he's going to be dropping in? All right, here we go. Matthew Lopez.
Taking his first wave of the heat.
Deciding against it.
I mean, he's really struggling with wave choice. I mean, like I say, wave choice is so important, but also decisive action may seem is important as well at this point.
And look at that here.
Aye.
Pushing and hacking away already. Marias putting a standing point out there. Can he go for a little air? Yes, he does to finish it off. That is 1 minute to the end of this heat.
And the issue Matthew really has now is he is comboed. There's no way he can, even if he scores a 10, he cannot progress. So he's going to have to get 2 waves in 1 minute.
Yeah, and there we can see Gabriel Benetton starting to get ready as he's going to be coming out on the water next, is all the way down there. But yeah, we're going to have to wait because Matthew Lopez, as we said, at the moment has not to get a wave. Coming in on the final seconds of this heat before we end off. Doesn't look like there's any motion out there. Maybe a bit of a set coming through. Will he be able to get that in time? I'm going to say no. So it looks like Artur Moraes is going to take the win of this heat. Well deserved, and already one of the first standout points of the heat. Matthew Lopez not being able to score those waves.
Definitely, that was high energy on the water from Artur, and good to see some nice waves and a lot of action from him. I mean, in the end, you know, you can have 2 different approaches out there. You can wait for the right wave and chill out the back and wait for a big set to come through, but it may never come, as we've just seen.
Yeah, absolutely. And while we're waiting, let's go and have a little look-see at the highlights of that last heat where Artur Moraes was on fire. welcome back, everybody. As there we can see the kites are getting ready. Coming up next, Pablo Amores, Yanis del Olmo, and Gabriel Benetton. Heat number 5, round number 1, Tom.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting heat. Some young rippers here, and look at the scene here in Punta Preta. I have to admit that last heat really left a few waves wanting, and it was very strange to see Matthew not taking any waves at all in 20 minutes. So we're really hoping that the dropping tide isn't going to back off the swell too much, because we do have a building swell forecast, which is looking very good for this spot. But I'm guessing the tide is taking a bit of an impact on that frequency at the moment. So hoping for these riders out there, they're going to get the chance to get some slightly bigger waves as they start rolling through. You can see a set out the back there right now, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the reef underneath, beautiful clear water. And there we can see, so that's the duotone. That is going to be Yanis del Olmo, the young Italian, out front. Pablo Amores on the ozone, and Gabriel Benetton also out there on the back in the core. Yanis having a little look-see. We saw it in the heat before. Matthew just not getting in on the waves. The first, I'm going to say it, the first upset of the competition to see him like that, because you know, really not engaging. But it isn't elimination time yet. Round number 1, the winner of the heat goes to round number 3. The second and third go into that round number 2, which I like to call the dungeons, where you've got to battle it out if you want to stay alive. So we are going to see how that goes down. Round 3 has already been released for today, so we will probably be having round number 1 and number 2 of the men, and then also some of the rounds of the ladies. Day number 1, Cape Verde, already delivering.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, look at the scene on the beach. Matthew chatting through his heat decision there, as we can see. He's definitely not going to be happy with that, and he's put himself on the back foot. Like you say, he's going to have to come through that second elimination. But we're already into heat number 5. Heat number 5. Let's go.
Yeah, round 1, and then we can see Gabriel Benetton backside all the way along. Nice little opener.
We got Pablo Amores taking his first wave, and he didn't even know he was going to be in the event about an hour ago. So he is a wild card. He was on the reserve list, and as one rider couldn't make it and was delayed due to travel restrictions, I think, he is now finding himself out there in the midst of his first heat, taking his first waves.
Yeah,
Bang, look at this.
Nice hit there from him.
This is a really good example of a backhand attack versus a front hand attack. And like I said earlier, I think I sometimes prefer a backhand attack, especially when the wind's side offshore. You can almost go over vertical. And you know, going back to Matthew, it's a rider that is known for his backhand vertical attack. And something that we're going to see from a lot of riders choosing to ride backhand. And I think one thing that's very interesting about kite surfing versus a lot of other board sports, I know skateboarding as well, a lot of riders ride switch and regular, but with kite surfing you do have a lot of riders that can ride switch and regular, so they do choose which way to attack the wave, which way to ride. I know in surfing you have to be a very, very good surfer to be able to choose whether you're riding goofy or regular, but within kite surfing, because of the nature of the sport, because of the fact that you are riding both tacks in both directions anyway, a lot of riders are ambidextrous when it comes to their stance.
Yeah, very, very true. It's unusual to see. I think it's probably one of the only sports where you don't see that, because we've seen, on the surfing side as well, sometimes even Kelly would go switch stance, but when it comes to snowboarding or skateboarding, that is such a big thing of the sport. But here it's, it kind of drives down the line all the way along, and yeah, really looking forward to see, because as you said earlier this morning, backside riders here, they can get those turns, but you've got to have the skills, because I'd say it's probably more difficult to get the turns on an offshore wave like this.
I mean, it's definitely more difficult. It's definitely harder to line up that bottom turn to peak with that top turn in the right time. But once you get it right, as you can see here, look how vertical you can get. You can get a nice spray and an easy re-entry. It's So look at that. I mean, as a backhand turn, for me, that's pleasurable to watch. And it is easier than you think to get a front hand turn, not looking quite as smooth.
Yeah, and judges are definitely going to take that into account. I mean, we saw that replay from before was a 4.63 there for Gabriel, and then Pablo Morris here, a couple of nice little, you know, kind of one-hit wonders, getting a nice couple little turns in here, a 3.0, and he's going to be scoring very shortly on that second wave, so he's going to be taking the lead of the heat. And he's definitely going to be happy with that. 5.60, the Spaniard, Pablo Morris in the lead, El Toro. And now let's see how the boys are going to be going on. We're about 4 minutes into this heat number 5 of round number 1 of the competition.
Yeah, it's looking glorious out there, and the water temperature is perfect. The riders don't even need their wetsuits on, so they're free to have full body motion as they go down the line. This is definitely far from the UK conditions that I've been dealing with the last few months, and a pleasure to watch.
Penguin surfing, mate. That's what you've been doing, penguin surfing.
Yeah, it does definitely makes a big difference being out there in board shorts, I can tell you that.
Hashtag life is board shorts. That's what we're going to be calling this one. And here we can see Gabriel Benetton again, just that low crouch style. Boom!
Bang! Critical section there, nice turn in the pocket. Getting that timing right as he goes down the line. As you can see, it's about gapping the sections, making sure you get around that white water properly, and then hitting that critical section just as the wave steepens up. And as you can see, the wave changes with every wave size as you go down the line. So you really have to be on point when it comes to reading the wave. Look at that.
Yeah, that is beautiful. I tell you what, that drone's very close to those kites. Watch out. And there we can see Ozo rider Pablo Morris, bottom right-hand side of your screen. Get a couple nice shots. Just look at the color of the water. It does not get more crystal clear than that. And at the moment, Gabriel Benetton is 4.63 versus a 5.60 from Pablo, but Pablo does have 2 waves, waiting for some scores to be dropped. We're about 7 minutes, coming on to 8 minutes into this heat. Day number 1 here in Cape Verde, and it is so cool to see conditions coming at us. Let's have a little look at the lineup of who's going to be coming with us. Coming up next, we're going to have Sebastian Rubedo, one of my favorite athletes. This guy is, for me, is one of the best surfers we have on tour. He's been a QS surfer himself, and we've been seeing on the gram him surfing some of these waves throughout the last week. Really looking forward to see him come on, because he really does use the wave. He barely uses the kite. And then one of the biggest heats that we'll be waiting for is that heat number 8, where we're going to have Mitu Monteiro versus Ayrton Corsolina together with Woodley Hull. That heat,
some big names.
2 ex-winners of this event, 2 ex-world champions in the water, starting off at that home ground. It's kind of like Mr. Miyagi and the Karate Kid out there on the water. Stay tuned for that, because we are continuing all the way on.
And there's one thing you can say about Ayrton is there's always energy on the water. Doesn't matter what the waves are doing, Ayrton's going to be throwing down, that's for sure. And speaking to him the other day, he's pretty confident that he is as prepared as any of the riders out there in any conditions. So it's going to be a good heat to watch. Me too, the local legend here on the island. I mean, there's so many local legends here because they are all incredible riders out here in Cape Verde. But that's unusual in the first round to have 2 of the biggest names together.
It is, obviously, because of the seed, and let's not forget Ayrton Corsolina, world champion last year. Mitu, he only competes at this event, so he is seeded 16th. So that is why he has come on to that spot. So it's kind of like, but you know, the godfather of strapless. I mean, Mitu put strapless kiteboarding on the map, and it is so cool to see both of them in the water. I cannot wait for that heat to be coming our way. But at the moment, a little bit of a lull so far. Gabriel Benetton in the lead.
Yeah, and as you mentioned about Sebastian, like being a QS surfer in the past, and for me it's great to see in kite surfing some really good surfers coming through into kite surfing, you know, and getting that real surf style translating onto a kite, and really bringing some legitimacy to kite surfing as well, because riding waves on a kite for me is something really special. And if you surf and if you follow surfing, you know that there's a sort of soulful element to surfing about chasing the conditions, traveling to the right place, being in the right place at the right time, even if it's at your local beach, getting there for the right tide and the right moment to get the best conditions. And I think having surfers translate from surfing over into kite surfing really brings that sort of soulful element and that skill of riding waves and understanding conditions and understanding reefs that is going to show us some of the best kite surfing that we can see.
Yeah, and look at that wave starting to peel out here. Yannis Deloma, you can see him. Your duotone athlete out of Italy. Looks like he's out there on the whip. Kind of the stubby nose board from duotone. Oh, around the rock, cutting it close here on the inside. But there you go, riding it from above. Yadi's just going all the way down the line. Still not really linking those sections together, so not going to be a high potential scorer. But as you know, we've been saying, some chalk on the board.
Yeah, I think at the moment it is about getting that chalk on the board. It's about taking some of those smaller waves, just making sure you do have a score. I think every rider on the beach is going to be learning from Matthew right now. And there's just as much of a game on the water as there is on the beach. It's about getting into the riders' heads. It's about learning from other riders, watching people on the water, and seeing what equipment they're using. As we can see there on the beach, there's a big lineup of different kites, different equipment, different boards, even down to the fins that they're using out there. I mean, everything makes a big difference, and I know a lot of the riders will not even disclose some of their gear that they're trialing at the moment.
Yeah, and there we can see our event set up. All the kites down on the left-hand corner, down at the sand part of Punta Preta, and that right-hand side is where the wave starts to peel along the reef. Look at the colors, the beautiful island here of Sal, Cape Verde. And what a setup and what a location. A big shout out and thank you to all of our partners and sponsors for making this happen. For Joe and Giada, the two event organizers, to make this event possible. What a way to start off the season already. This beautiful right-hander firing. But at the moment, the Brazilian seems like he has a full chamber of barrels coming his way. Let's see how he can go through, because we are more than halfway through this heat already.
And if you're out here on Cape Verde at the moment, on holiday, or you are on Sal, you should come down, you should check this event out, you should come up to the beach, because it is one of the best spectator spots in the world, especially for this style of kite surfing. You can sit less than 10 feet away from some of the best waves in the world. You can be right in there amongst the riders. You can meet everybody on the beach. You can really experience kite surfing at its best, I would say. So if you are here on Cape Verde, get down here, because we're going to be here all week running this epic event, and it's only going to get better and better. Looks like we are experiencing another lull. As you can see from this drone shot as well, there's multiple angled reefs here. You've got the left-hand point break just around the corner to the right, and then you've got the right-hand point break of Punta Preta that peels down this reef to the left. And you can see the riders just hustling to stay upwind in priority to make sure that they're ready for any sets that roll through, and to be in the right position to get some of the bigger waves. If you look out the back there, it looks like there might be a little set peeking through.
Yeah, it looks like something is coming our way. Let's see how that starts to roll down the reef. Starting to hear some of the vibes down here, Thomas. The music is starting. We're getting go for the Cape Verdean World Cup, day number 1, and we are already in action. Here we can see out on the water, Gabriel Benetton, Pablo Montes, Yanis Dan Olmo, and some of the tunes already coming down. There is always a vibe in Cape Verde.
And as you say, their local motto here is no stress, and you can feel that the minute you touch down on the island out here. In fact, I think there's even a sign at the airport that says it, isn't there?
It is. I think there's a few tattoos around there as well. But here we can see dodging the rocks, slamming it around. Yanis Dan Olmo trying to get some extra scores at the moment. Pablo was in the lead, but Gabriel Benetton 6.23 for that last one, and Yanis just going off the back there.
I mean, you can really see how beautiful this place is when you see those drone shots. There's nothing quite like being in water as blue as this, riding waves that look like this when you're on the water. It is it's something very special. Pablo's going to be pretty stoked just to be out there, to be fair. Like I say earlier, he wasn't expecting to be in the event. He was on the reserve list. And he only got the go-ahead that he was going to be competing today, literally an hour before he was expected to be on the water. As you can see him now coming down the line on this.
Yeah, second place.
Fire! Look at those rocks.
Really just getting past there, because obviously second place in this heat will be going up against Kelton Lopez. Third place would be going up against Joe Silva. So I know Pablo at the moment battling to try and hold on to that second place or go through into first. But Gabriel 6.23, 4.63, 2 solid scores. Still not seen big scores here today, but obviously the waves don't have those big scoring potentials. A couple of sets are, and I bet you if someone can pick off one of those diamonds in the rough, then we're going to start to see some of the 7s and the 8s.
Yeah, I think a 6.23 is almost one of the highest scores we've seen so far today. So
it is, yeah.
It hasn't been as productive as we thought it might be so far. I mean, some of the sets that rolled through this morning showed quite a lot of promise, but I think it's the change in that tide to outgoing. As you say, we've got another 3 to 4 hours of outgoing tide, which is probably going to mean the conditions are going to stay a little slack until it starts pushing later. But we do have a building groundswell and what looks like a very good up-and-coming forecast. So the excitement is definitely in the air, if not on the beach.
Yeah, and let's have a little look-see at that timer. We do apologise the timer isn't on screen. There's been a technical issue that they are trying to resolve as quick as possible. We are coming up on the final 3 minutes of this heat. So at the moment, Gabriel first, Pablo second, Yanis Olmo third, and already they've actually had quite a few nice sets coming their way. And it does look like something. We've got some motion in the ocean, as they like to say. And let's see if we're going to be able to engage on some more waves. Oh, here we go down. Look at that. Yanis, boom, already got a nice one. Look at that view, yeah.
Best wave of the heat so far,
goes off, unfortunately, for that one. But that was a beautiful wave there for Yanis Olmo. Unfortunately, could not
kicking
do
himself
it.
For that one. That was best wave yet.
Here
we go, Pablo looking to up his current situation with that frontside attack.
Yeah, still going down the line, not really connecting any of the turns. Judges are not going to be giving him extra kudos for that, unfortunately. And here, Gabriel Benetton, floater, can he keep it together? Yes, he does.
Nice.
Gabriel and the air reverse on the outside. Gabriel's starting to have fun. There are set lines across the horizon.
Here we go. It looks like the sets are starting to become a little more consistent. That's what we like to see. Backhand attack. Bang. It's all about that bottom turn, you know. It's waiting your moment on that bottom turn so that you're hitting that lip at the perfect moment and also giving your kite enough slack. I think he's going to score well for that.
I think so. It's going to be interesting to see, 'cause he had, let's say, 1 or 2 good turns. Then he had that floater where the kite was a little high, but made it through that section. He already has a 6.23. Let's see where it's going to be. I can see some of the judges scoring come up. It's going to be in that vicinity as we're getting very close to the final minute of this heat. So as it stands, we have Gabriel, Yaris, and Pablo. Yaris looking to improve on a 2.33 would be his lowest, so that backup score hopefully will be able to make this happen, as he has just caught that gem at the final seconds as we keep going on. All right.
Here we go. Looking at the last few waves of this heat as they try and change the rankings as they stand. Doesn't look like that one's going to go anywhere.
Yeah, I reckon they've still got enough time. We're just coming up on 90 seconds now to the end of this heat, and we do see a little bit of set out there. It does seem like Yanis is the one who's closer, but also some of the other athletes starting to make their way onto the competition floor. Next up, we're going to have Luis Vito, Clement Roseo, and Sebastian Ribeiro. So there it is. Red flag is in the sky. All right, so there we could see a nice heat there on the water. Unfortunately, not too many waves, but Gabriel Benetton has been throwing down. Let's have a look at the highlights of that last heat. All right, so there we can see already Clement Roseo starting to get some action in, and we can see out there also Sebastian Ribeiro, who is just dropping in here in the white. Big surfing wave there for him. All right, so while we've already seen a couple waves down, we also, Tom, you caught up with Sebastian Ribeiro down on the beach. Let's go and see what he had to say.
Okay. Seb, so we are here on day one of the GKA stop in Punta Preta. How are you feeling about today?
Feeling good. Waves are pumping. I know there's a big swell coming, but I just hope the wind is more side like it is. And feeling good, boards are good, kites are working really good too. I prepared a lot before this event. Came 10 days early for this event to train this wave, train surfing and kiting. So feeling good, and I think everything's gonna be good.
Perfect. And obviously the locals have a big showing here. They know the wave really well. What do you think you bring to the game to knock them off their top spots?
Yeah, for sure the locals knows this wave better than anyone. But I mean, it's not my first time here. I really like this wave. Every time I'm here, I try to train in the small days or the big days to understand how it works the wave. So I think I have this advantage also a little bit to know the wave and try to bring my surf style to this.
Perfect. Looking forward to seeing you out there, mate.
All right, Tom, so action out here on the water. Still at the moment, no really big scores have been come through so far. As it stands, Luis Brito out there on the water, Sebastian Ribeiro catching up with him, and as you did down there on the beach earlier this morning. We're also going to be, we caught up with Clement Rossio. We'll be putting that in on the next lull of the waves. Sebastian still yet to get a score, but I can see numbers dropping in. It looks like he's going to be leading so far. Clement Rossio, the Frenchman, this dude is very in tune with big waves. He's been surfing in Nazaré. He's starting to get into the big wave game. I mean, you've been to Nazaré yourself. That place is petrifying.
Yes, I can tell you it is petrifying. Just being in the water at Nazaré is petrifying, let alone taking any waves. But here we go. Clement Rosero, Sebastian Ribeiro, Luis Brito in this heat. These are some big names, and they've all got different skill. They've all got different advantages, from big wave experience to surfing background experience to local knowledge. I mean, how that plays in, we've yet to see. But I can tell you when the waves start to build over the week, riders like Clement Rosero are going to have a huge advantage of being comfortable in that 4-meter wave size, because after you've paddled into any waves in Nazaré, you realize that your perception of size definitely changes. That's for sure.
I can imagine. I mean, those things are absolutely gigantic. We've seen this winter already had a couple good swells of that kind of beast that is Nazaré, and really cool to see how the big wave game is starting to really go global. You can start to see that, with the WSL, you've got, Piahi, you've got Mavericks, you've got this one as well. So looking forward to seeing some more action, and great to see these watermen out here on the water, because let's not forget also Clement is a very talented wing forwarder as well. So anything you get that guy a bit of water, he can perform on.
Yeah, exactly. And it goes into what I was saying earlier about having surfers from the QS coming over into kite surfing and sort of lending their style and their skill and their surfing styles to kite surfing, really adding to the sport. I think this development of of watermen and women and riders that appreciate riding waves differently is really bringing the game up to the next level. And look here we go. Some of the better sets we've seen so far coming through. You can see Luis Brito just destroying that wave all the way down the line. That was one of the nicest waves we've seen come through. Here we go, Sebastian just working it onto the inside there. I didn't see the whole of that wave, but pretty sure that it was going to be a good one, and there's going to be some scores dropping from that set. Here we go. Look, it looks like these waves are starting to pick up now. And this is a replay of that last wave, just smashing the lip. Really like delayed bottom turn and a nice vertical top hit. You can just see him getting those fins out. And you can see each rider having their different style, different plan of attack, different way they work the wave. But because you're using a kite, there we go, Sebastian here, just arcing out that bottom turn, really getting that nice connection with the lip, getting those fins out, looking for a little bit of a shampoo there on the inside. And then you end up chasing the section, but waiting for that perfect moment to go back and hit the lip again. And I mean, that's one thing that makes such a difference out here on this wave is timing. And not just timing, choosing the right wave out the back. I mean, we've seen Matt Chu go through a heat without even taking a single wave so far, but it's timing when you're on the wave as well. You know, from knowing when to approach the lip, and knowing when to skirt the section and wait for that the next hit to present itself. If you go into it with too much energy and too much enthusiasm, the wave can bite you right back. Or if you go into it with not enough energy and too chilled, you may not actually even get a wave in your heat. So, you know, again, a 20-minute heat sounds like a long time, but when you're out there, 20 minutes flies past, especially when you're waiting for waves to roll through here in the Atlantic. But this is a big heat with some big names, and I've ridden a lot with Sebastian and Clem, myself, in different conditions. And like I said, they're both multi-talented riders over multiple different sports, from wing foiling to surfing to kite surfing. And for me, being a passionate kite surfer myself and, you know, general waterman, you know, I do all the sports out there and enjoy them all. That's, to me, what is going to really raise the game. Oof, he really looked like he misjudged that floater. I hope he doesn't get stuck on the inside. But yeah, the knowledge of multiple sports really comes into play, and that's not just from the forecasting angle or, you know, the reading the wave angle, but it's also the understanding of how you read the water, how you choose the waves to go on, you know, how you ride the wave. And riding a wave on a kite is very different to surfing a wave, but it helps to have surfed the wave to understand how the reef works. And then again, if you take that onto wing foiling, riding a wave on a foil is incredibly different to riding a wave on a surfboard or a kite. So it's about understanding the differences between the sports. It's about understanding the differences in the ways to read the water. To be good at all of them is a really, really sort of top skill that I think is, in the end, going to add to all of the sports. You know, it's going to raise the level across the board, and you know, also create a sort of atmosphere of acceptance between different riders and between different athletes that, you know, sometimes, you know, you can see you know, localism appearing, especially in the surfing industry, but out here we've got such a nice atmosphere of different riders that all understand each other, all understand the different sports that they do, and are just generally passionate about riding the ocean. And I think that's, you know, one of the most important things. go, here we go.
Already big hacking turn there from Luis Brito all the way down. Let's see how it is going as he's making his way. Bimba! Now we're starting to get the action out. This is where the boys are starting to roll it in. All right, so we got some action already. It's dropping in one more time. There's been some nice waves in this heat. We do apologize as there's been a couple of technical issues we've had to resolve, but the more important thing is we have conditions. Punta Preta is firing, and we are starting to get a groove. Clement Rosero backside here in the mush.
Yeah. Struggling to choose the right wave, but there's definitely some waves starting to roll through out there, so it's looking good for this afternoon. And as with the start of any event, there's always technical issues to sort out, but as the week goes on, it's going to get better, it's going to get bigger, and the technical issues are going to get less. So make sure you stay with us, ask us any questions on the GKA channels, get involved in the comments on the live stream, and let's get stuck into what looks like an insane wave here from Sebastian. Really linking those waves. You can see how quick he is on his bottom turn to connect those sections, making sure he just hits every available area on that wave. And sometimes, that can make the difference. The speed of your bottom turn, how you really use the power in your board to just flow through those turns, just is going to allow you to fit in that extra, 3 or 4 turns in that wave. You can get a long wave where you only do 3 or 4 turns, or you can get a long wave where you fit in 9 or 10 turns. And where Sebastian has the advantage, he's getting the turns in, but not only getting the turns in, getting the quality of turns in. Look at this.
Yeah, beauty. And you can see what we've been saying about Sebastian is he rolls on the wave. So he uses the power and the face of the wave to be able to perform and get those surfing. Here we can see Luis Brito also waiting for some scores to be dropped. I've just been told by the judges that it looks like there's a technical error on the scoring system. So as soon as those come to us, we will be sending them to you. But I'm going to go out and stretch here, and I'm going to say Sebastian Ribera is definitely in first place.
Yeah, it's looking like Sebastian is using his surf style to his advantage out there, to me. He's not only had some of the best wave selections, but on that last wave, he was really, really feeling the flow. And I feel that, as well, it's about being able to react and make those sort of last-minute decisions, because you can plan a wave, you can plan a heat, but you never know what it's going to deliver. So it's those split-second decisions on your bottom turn of what you're going to do when you hit the lip that really make the difference. Like reading a wave is a really split-second, last-minute thing, and that's what makes the difference between a lot of these riders, being able to just make those last-minute decisions, change your style, change the way you're going to attack the wave. Whether it's going to be a barrel section, whether it's going to be an air section, whether it's going to be a lip hit section, or even a flat section where you look to wrap round and gain a little bit more power in the kite. So just like a lot of other wave riding sports, it comes down to those last-minute decisions.
Yeah, no, absolutely, mate. And it looks like out there we are just coming up on the final 3 minutes of this heat. I'm trying to get information in on the scores. Sebastian Ribeiro is definitely in that first place. That is what has been confirmed to me. Clement Roseo also in but battling it out in second together with Luis Brito. Still waiting for that last wave score to drop in. Get that info to you guys and girls ASAP. But at the moment, we are currently in heat number 6 of this round number 1 of the competition. Sebastian Ribeiro, the Brazilian, and there we can see the boys down on the shore. That is Matthew. Just kind of, it looks like they obviously know something that we don't, Tom, and they're sending them and making sure that he goes out. Tell him, and we've got a set coming our way. Here we go. Luis Brito deciding against it. Is that going to cost him? Because it looks like in the background also Clement and Sebastian are about to drop in.
It's difficult to tell what these boys are trying to communicate out there, but they obviously know something that we don't. But it looks like Clement isn't in his favoured big wave conditions out there today. He's obviously having to deal with some smaller waves and to get a little bit more technical through the turn. And I guess to be good in a competition, you really do need to be able to deal with every type of condition, every type of wave, and sort of make the most of it, even if you're groveling around on the inside of the reefs. And I think we're going to see Clem really start to deliver when the waves pick up as the week goes on.
Yeah, and we're in that final minute just now. Let's see if they're going to have an opportunity to get something else, as it does look like they are going to be closing this off. So we will get the info to you on the scores. Once again, we do apologize. Internet is a lot harder than it seems down here on the island, so hopefully we'll be able to get it coming back to us. But now it looks like Sebastian Ribeiro in the lead, taking the win of that heat. Congratulations to him. Coming up next, we are going to have Arsenio Diaz, Theo Manes, and Nikola Adalgiev coming at you. Well, let's have a little look at the highlights of that last heat. Welcome back, everybody. So, coming up next, Nicola Dajiev, Teo Demanis, and Arsenio Diaz. That are going to be the athletes that are going to be going on the water. And in that last heat, we can say that it was Sebastian Ribeiro, Clement Roseo, and Luis Brito. Sebastian, 13.60. Best wave score of the day of a 7.60.
Nice.
Clement Roseo an 8.30, Luis Brito 6.84. So already Sebastian throwing down some heavy hitters, showing that he is here to dominate. Now, out on the water, this is what it's going to be.
Yeah, so as we've seen, it's all about linking turns. Highest wave score of the day for Sebastian Ribeiro so far. His surf style really showing us that quick judgment, nice bottom turn, quick top turn judgment power is scoring high today with the judges. So that's what they're looking for, as close to a surf style as possible. And I think when the waves are small like this, it really comes in. You know, when as we start to see the swell build, we're going to start to see a few more power moves, I think, come in, and the kite being used a little more. But at the moment, it's about linking those turns, judging the wave accordingly, and keeping it as flowing as possible. Riding waves in general, whether it's on a surfboard, whether it's on a kite, or whether it's on a wing foil, it's all about the flow. And, you know, just like all forms of energy, riding waves, it's all to do with flowing.
Yeah, flow is definitely the key word here, as you were saying before. That, you know, what Cape Verde is for you. We've asked a few of the athletes, everything, words since epic, sexy, everything has come down. Passionate has also come out. So this is what they like about this Cape Verdean event. And now Arsenio Diaz, Teo Demanis, Nicola Abdabjiev. And talking about flow, my underdog, Nicola Abdabjiev, coming out of Bulgaria. He is a Red Bull athlete. Been on tour quite a while. He was competing for, you know, since the early days, and he just has that laid-back kind of Rob Machado style. Don't be surprised. He can throw in some big numbers and just links and kind of lays back all the way down. Let's see how he does here for the season opener.
There we go, on the inside, it's opening up. He's got a big section to get around there. I mean, that is one big advantage with a kite, is it does give you the possibility to skirt around very big sections that if you were surfing, you would never make. So kiting really does give you the option to make the most out of some quite unique waves and really get a lot of drive down the line. And it's just down to each rider how they manage it, how they do it, how they make that flow look as they skirt around those big whitewater sections into the next pocket.
Yeah, no, it really does give you a little bit of an advantage there, and kind of a bit of a safety net as well. And then, you know, you have the riders like Sebastian where they really just do engage on the wave. Look at that out the back, boom, on that beautiful replay, as we can see our athletes starting to engage already. And now just waiting to see who is going to be making their way through. Already coming up on the final heats here of round number 1, and we're going to be continuing on with round number 2. Currently on the water, Arsenio Diaz, that was Teo Demanis with the blue board that you just saw on the replay, and Nicola Abdabjiev, the RRD athlete, on your screen right now.
Yeah.
Medium scores.
Yeah, I would say medium scores so far. Like, I think a lot of these riders are, you know, dialing in their equipment, and that's what these early heats are about. And you hear a lot, like on the WSL, about them talking about different shapes, different board shapes, different fins, and how much difference boards make. But also with this, you've got how much difference kites make. And I think not only do you have the boards, you have the fins, you have the the decisions to make in terms of what volume boards you're going to take out there depending on the conditions, but it's how the kites also perform in these wind conditions. And especially when it's side offshore like this, it's often not what you'd expect, I think, that performs the best sometimes.
Yeah, true. I mean, you gotta, when it comes to gear, you gotta take out the gear that works for you. Every person has their preference. Obviously, what most athletes are looking for in a wave kite, so to speak, is that it drifts, is that it kind of flies backwards in the easiest way to explain it, so that when they do kind of lose the tension on those lines, the kite won't fall out of the sky. It just kind of pivots along. And then also the bar throw is that as soon as they let off a little bit of that deep power, the kite completely powers out, which allows them to get those surfing turns and then engages right away. That's kind of some of the gear that we can see on some of the wave kites out there. I mean, you've got RRD, you've got Duotone, you've got Cabrina out there, 3 of the top brands. And obviously, I think any of these athletes could also go out in a paper bag and make it look easy, mate.
Yeah, they probably could. It's true. It's true. But interestingly, I was speaking to Ayrton the other day, and he told me something that I didn't really expect, because, as you say, what most people are looking for from a wave kite is its drift and how easily it drifts downwind. However, when it's so offshore like this, it becomes a completely different game, because it's more about how efficient the kite is about going upwind. Because then if you've got a heavy drifting kite, it can often drag you off the back of the wave. So therefore you lose, you get too much pressure on your bottom turn, or too much pressure through the top turn as well, which can lose momentum and take you off your flow. So actually, I think we're going to see Ayrton using kites that we're not going to expect him to use.
I mean, Ayrton has definitely been loving those Rebels. We've been seeing him riding those left, right, and centre. And yeah, like you say, we were talking about it earlier this morning, when it comes to offshore riding, one of the things you really have to make sure is that that kite is low and is pulling you forward, so you don't get pulled off the back of the wave, kind of what we just saw there. He didn't quite get onto it, so a little bit of an extra yank could work. But again, as they say, it's not the arrow, it's the Indian, and let's see what they can put themselves towards. I mean, very looking forward to that next heat, where we're going to be seeing Ayrton Cosolino and Mito Monteiro, 2 of the best all-time strapless riders of the planet. Also, 2 of the local boys from here, Mito the Godfather, Ayrton Cosolino, one of the youngsters and that up and came and has been a multiple world champion, and probably one of the guys that has pushed this sport to the limits. Can't wait to see that battle happening out here.
Yeah, there's some good action to come, definitely. Here we go. Nice little floater section to get around that long bit of white water, making the most of that inside, or putting the fins out. I mean, that's a small wave, but I would say put it together nicely. So
yeah, Nicola there, like I said, just laid back, makes it look nice and easy, and then just cruising, kind of breaking the fins out a little bit there so far. Teo de Manis from Martinique there, you can see 4.73, 3.07, and here we can see the replay of that last wave. It's starting to get about shoulder high sets. I'd probably say, what do you reckon, mate? 3 to 4 foot, maybe an occasional 5-footer on the sets?
Yeah, I mean, early this morning we saw some quite big sets come through, so I think there's possibility for some 4 or 5 foot sets, definitely. It's been a bit slow for the last few heats, but I think as we start to see that tide slow down on the drop and turn into the push, we're gonna be getting some bigger waves rolling through.
Yeah, low tide for today is at 4:30 in the afternoon, so we've probably got about 3 hours, as it's 1:30 local time down here. 2 hours ahead of Central European time, so if you're joining us from Europe, hope you guys and girls are all good and enjoying the stream. Day number 1 here of the Qatar Airways GKA Kite World Tour, your Kite-Surf World Cup here on the island of Sal. Currently heat number 7 so far. The biggest score of a wave by Sebastian Ribeiro, the Brazilian duotone athlete. No surprise there, as we know he is coming in hungry. Matthew Lopez did not score at all in his heat. Also one of the standout moments of this first day. But it ain't how you start, it's how you finish.
That's what they say. Yeah, definitely a slow start, but characteristically a very chilled style from Matthew, and you know he's confident enough to know exactly how good he is out there, and yeah, you know, it turns out he doesn't even need to take a wave if he doesn't want to. But no, he's gonna battle his way up through the second elimination, and it's by no means out for him. We're gonna see him come back with renewed energy. And I'm sure he's talking to some of his teammates on the beach as we speak to come back with a different strategy. But as we can see, it's about making the most of what there is and what the ocean's delivering. The waves aren't massive. It does have the potential to get very big out here, and this reef holds almost any size wave. But at the same time, right now, we've got to make the most of what is coming through, as we can see. Right now, small wave coming in, but it's about linking those turns up, choosing your wave, and just committing to it.
Just having a little look-see at the leaderboard here to see where Matthew's going to be ending up. All right, so if Matthew wins his second round, he's going to be going up against Charlie Martin, the youngster in that heat number 19. I was wondering if maybe there was a little bit of strategy in not catching a wave in that first round. It wouldn't be the first time we've seen that happen, but I can't see any logic in between it. You know, he wasn't going to be hitting any of the top riders, especially, let's not forget, as he was second overall last year. So I definitely do think he just did not have a good heat.
I mean, to be fair, it's something to think about though, isn't it? I mean, it's something you wouldn't expect, but yes, obviously because it's not a knockout round, it's just a round to mean that you have to do another heat to get further. But if strategically that means that you're not going to come up against a better rider, sometimes it could actually play in your advantage. Like, I having competed a lot myself in the past, I find that sometimes very difficult to predict, but in those top, you know, those top athletes, those top riders, they go into it so deeply that they really do go, you know, that next level in terms of how they structure their heats, how they structure their time on the water, and know exactly who they're up against next. So yeah, I don't know, that's an interesting point, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, you know, because for example, Pedro Matos would have been away from him, Artur Moraes, Gabriel Benetton would have been his side of the ladder, but a little bit further along. I honestly don't think there's a strategy, but you know, we have seen it and we will see it again. But we'll have Matthew coming up in that round number 2. But at the moment, a little bit of a lull in this heat so far. Teo de Manis with a 7.80. All right, here we can see Teo taking off on a little inside roller, but no, going to be going against that. Round number 1 of the competition, and we can see we're about 11 minutes into this heat. And probably I think we've had maybe one decent set, so definitely as we're getting to that midpoint of the tide, sets and far and few between, so that is going to make it even more important to get that wave selection, because you could be waiting out there and not being getting any love at all.
Yeah, I mean, there's 20-minute lulls definitely, and yeah, as you said, 20 minutes seems like a long time on the water, but when you're waiting for waves, 20 minutes flies past. And I think, yeah, it's just about choosing those little insiders, getting a few, getting 2 scores on the board. I mean, as you can see here, Theo's got 2 scores on the board. They're not high scores, but he's in the lead right now. So it's just as simple as that, and then waiting for that third bigger wave to come through and biding your time on that one.
All right, Arsenio Diaz Cuncuña, one of the local boys. Such a cool guy, this young man. And going backside all the way around. Very talented strapless freestyler as well. And all you can see racking out a couple of turns there, and already linking this one smaller way, but all the way down to the bottom. This is going to be a good score for him.
See him changing his stance halfway down the line. This is what we're talking about in terms of switch and regular. These riders are so talented that it doesn't matter which way they ride, you know. Just depends on the conditions, how they're feeling at the time, their read on the wave, but they can literally change their stance in the middle of their ride, which I find super impressive.
No, absolutely, especially the speed they're going down the waves. I mean, there you can see Arsenio already waiting for that score to come in. This could put him in a better position. I don't think it's not going to be enough for him to go into first, but maybe overtake Abdabjiev. But Nicola is still waiting for another wave. And here we have Teo Demanis, your current heat leader, Cabrina athlete, dropping in.
A little bit of size on this one, nice. Right from the top of the reef, can you link those turns? A little bit slack through the top turn there, but
yeah,
you know, some of the waves just don't form up all the way down the reef.
Yeah, you really do have to pick off the good ones, especially when conditions are a little bit more challenging, like we can see now.
It's like this yacht's coming in to take a few waves, maybe.
Yeah, they're going to dropped in by a yacht. There you go. Just, you know, I don't mind getting dropped in by a yacht as long as they throw a beer across the board.
So hope it doesn't come too close to the reef, especially if there's a building swell.
All right, so we are coming up on 16 minutes into this heat. This is heat number 7, round number 1. And then, as we mentioned before, coming up next, a big heat. We're going to have Woody Ayrton and Mitu Monteiro are going out on the water. 2 past world champions, 2 past Cape Verdean event winners. And Mr. Miyagi and the Karate Kid, the teacher and the student. And it is really looking forward to see those two battle it out. They have so much respect for each one of them, and that's what I love about Ayrton and about Mitu, is they respect each other so much. Mitu was, let's say, the guy who started it off. Ayrton, the up-and-coming, who has been a multiple-time world champion and proved himself against all of the planet. And now here, he took the world championship last year, getting back on top of that overall podium. And what is it going to be here for the first event of the season? Oh, set dropping in.
Yeah, best set we've seen in a while now.
Nicola.
I think current heat leader.
Can he hold it? Almost, but unfortunately dropping out of that one. Nice set coming through.
We got making the most of the one behind it. It's a fast one down the line.
Tail.
See how easily he skirted that section just to get right back into that pocket again.
Oh, nice little tail release there. You could see that kite going forward like you were mentioning before there, Tom, getting caught up here against the foam ball. And now this is where he's going to speed up. I also can see out of the corner of our booth, Arsenio Diaz got a little bit of a ride, but we're staying with tail here all the way down to the end. He knows it's an important, nice wave there. Teo Demanis, ladies and gentlemen.
Very nice set. But yeah, going back to the general vibe from the local islanders here, you know, like say Mitu, Ayrton, Machu. I mean, they've all got such a good vibe, such good camaraderie, and it's clear how good kite surfing and wind sports is for these islands, you know, for this place, how much it brings
part
to
of the culture
area, and how much it's brought to those guys here, you know. It's small island chain that really worships what nature delivers, you know. I think that's important. And
there you have Mother Nature delivering now with that beautiful set coming through. It's probably one of the biggest sets we've seen today.
I think so, yeah. I'm hoping that's a sign of change.
Yes, a little bit more of a push coming our way. So waiting for a score to be dropped by Teo Demanis, but I can see it's looking like the highest score of the day, and there it is, 5.80. So Teo Demanis is going to be in the lead and number 1 as we are just coming up on the final minute of this heat, and then we'll be going on to the final heat of round number 1 here for the GKA Kite-Surf World Cup down in Cape Verde. Having a little look-see there, Nicholas. He wants to try and get into that first position. He's not comboed out, but he will have to have a very nice wave. As we're about 30 seconds in, I can see drones are starting to get ready. It's all happening as we are preparing ourselves for that next heat number 8. Mito Monteiro and Ayrton Cosolino are going to be going out onto the water. Hold on to your hats, as there's going to be a draw out here in Cape Verde.
It's the final heat of round 1, and looks like the ocean's starting to move just as Ayrton gets ready to get on the water. I mean, it wouldn't be a surprise, but he always somehow managed to manifest some waves out of nothing.
Yeah, I mean, these boys, they have the telephone and everything just to be able to get those extra little bangers. And let's see, as both of them are going to be coming out onto the water. But while we're waiting for that to happen, we're going to go and see the highlights of that last heat. Going out on the water, as we are going to have Ayrton Cosolino, Mito Monteiro, and Woodley Hall are going to be battling it out. Before we get into the action, as I can hear the buzzer just about to start, we caught up earlier this morning with Mito Monteiro.
Oh, it's so nice to be here, again. This year, I think the forecast is looking good, so we're going to have some really nice swell coming. Already today there is something, it's not so big, but there is something already, the wind is there. So I'm really stoked to be here, compete again at home.
All right, so good to catch up with me too. So here we can see this is Woodley, just losing his fins there, so not going to be able to get a score. So he was the one to fire off that first bullet. Ayrton Cosolino, if I'm not wrong, it looks like he is out there on the duotone Rebel SLS, and then we can see Mito out there also on the F1. So there they are, Woodley Hall, Mito Monteiro, Ayrton Cosolino, your three riders getting ready to rumble down here in Cape Verde.
Yeah, for me, it was really interesting talking to Ayrton about his equipment choice, because for me, I would not have expected him to be riding the Rebel. It's not listed as a wave kite, but like I was saying earlier, I think it's a really interesting technical aspect of this wave in particular that, riders are actually riding equipment that you wouldn't really expect them to in order to perform certain things that my guess is Ayrton has up his sleeve for the later heats.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if anybody knows his equipment, it's Ayrton, and as you explained before, to having that little edge, because when they come to this top level, everything counts. You need to be able to sharpen that knife to be able to take out your competition, and Ayrton knows he's up against one of the best athletes for this location. There we can see some of our wingers are getting ready as our sister tour is also waiting here. So we are going to have the GWA Wing Foiling World Tour as well. They're all the way up on the point waiting to see those sets, and there we have the drone up. Looks like a couple of lines starting to form out there.
Definitely some motion in the ocean coming our way. It's difficult to know how they're going to line up on the reef though from a long way out. So you can see the lines coming in, but whether they're going to hit the left-hand reef or the right-hand reef down here on Punta Preta, it's hard to know until you see the riders making their choice.
Yeah, absolutely. And also sometimes when the sets start to get bigger and bigger, they kind of open out a little bit further in to the bay. So you really have to be in touch with the ocean and be able to read the waves well. So there we can see, if I'm not mistaken, that's going to be Woody, as he is on also the duotone, and a nice open face hack here. Let's see what he has for this second attempt. Little wobbly on the downside. Let's see if he can keep it together. Couple nice turns, just trying to clicking in, and there we can see also Cozzolino about to drop in, if I'm not mistaken. Here we go, Ayrton Cozzolino's got a helmet on.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I haven't seen him ride with a helmet. I would say it's probably a sign of good things to come, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. We know he's going to want to take off if he's got that. Oh, Ayrton pushing against everything out of that wave. Ayrton means business.
He means business, and this is what I was saying earlier about energy. It's not just about the energy of the wave, it's about having the energy on the water, it's about the energy you put into it.
Body language.
Yeah, body language and flow, and just having that next turn in mind before you've even made the first turn. You know, it's about forward planning. I think the big difference between Ayrton and a lot of riders is he's thinking 3 turns ahead. He's not thinking about that next turn. He's already there. He's already doing it, you know. So that makes a big difference.
Yeah, knowing Ayrton, he's probably already thinking of the air at the bottom section. You can see just breaking against this as we make our way out. All right, Ayrton, 7.10 already. 7.10.
Nice.
And trying to have a look, what was it? So Sebastian Ribeiro, 7.60. Ayrton, first wave, 7.10. So now we are starting to see some of the top players get out on their game. Early days.
Exactly, and it's that surfing style, you know, it's those surfing connections of turns, how they're dealing with it. And look, he's already back on his second wave of the heat. Oh no, sorry, this is the replay.
Yeah, that's the replay of that first. You're getting a little excited there, Tom, a little excited. But I bet, knowing Ayrton, he'll probably be out on one. But anyway, let's not forget, Mitu Monteiro. Mitu's doing a Matsu at the moment. He's waiting out the back for that set. Ayrton, I reckon he just had so much energy, wanted to get it released, and you can see him there. Red Bull athlete ranking up for duotone. And here we can see the beach starting to fill up as the people are starting to want to see their local heroes out here on the wave. And such one of the things I love about Punta Preta is you are pretty much surfing the wave with the athlete.
Yeah, we've got Mitu on the F1 coming in out the back. Looks like he's got a nice line lining up for him. Woodley Hall on the inside, just looking to make the most of one of those inside bangers.
Getting past that section nice and well.
Big floater.
All right, Mitu Monteiro about to drop in. He has a look behind. Is he going to go with this one? Yes, he is. Here we go. Mitu Monteiro, the strapless godfather. Oh, pushes against that tail, lets it loose. Power hack down. Can he get past this section? Looks like he is aiming for a bit of an air, but just lost the board there at the top part of that wave. But still, nice double hit wonder.
Two-hit wonder, some big fin releases at the beginning. You know, you see here now when he just decides to drop into the wave, sets up that bottom turn just for that perfect top execution. And not a lot of riders can do it, in my opinion here. You know, you see a lot of riders getting the hits, but not executing it as perfectly, especially on the re-entry, you know, so because it's hard because of the side offshore winds.
Yeah, really being able to get fins loose and push against the wave and the wind that is pretty much wanting you to go off the back really shows the skill set. So 4.70 Mitu Montero, 7.10 for that first wave here from Ayrton, as we are in a heat number 8, round number 1. We're going to continue on with round number 2 of the men and then move over to the ladies. First day of competition, the bird's eye view is on, and it looks like Ayrton Cosolino is about to drop in.
Chosen his second wave. Oh no, he's pulled off. Didn't like the look of that one, but there is some motion.
It looks like he's turned. Okay, he's decided against that. Doesn't look like there was anybody in. Okay, deciding. All right, Ayrton Cosolino, here we go, dropping in, powering that kite.
Locking straight into the turns. Looks like there's a big wide section here. He's got to be careful of those rocks on the inside, but he gets around it.
I mean, these guys, they've been riding here since the beginning of their careers. They pretty much probably have a name for each one of those rocks. But Ayrton there just getting caught up on the outside, so not a big scorer. And here we can see Lee Hall about to drop in on a very nice wave. Good first check turn. Let's see how he continues down the line. Another good one. This is one of the better waves we've seen from him, sketching a little bit there, getting a bit of a wobble, kind of slacking out with the kite.
Well, what I find interesting, and I think what I'm noticing is actually, you know, Mitu and Ayrton, they're riding slightly longer boards, you know, slightly bigger boards, even on the small days, and they're really drawing out their turns. And if you have a board that's too twitchy and you're putting a little too much energy through it, you've got to be really careful not to throw yourself off, you know?
Yeah, sometimes, you know, it kind of gets a little skatey and scatty out there. But, yeah, obviously, you know, equipment a key factor here. And then we can see that last wave from the other view here of Woodley. 2 for 2. He has a 1.33, 1.37. Looking like definitely going to be improving that score on that last wave. But as it stands, Ayrton Cosolino is in the lead.
Look, Mitu had a wave behind that we didn't see that there.
All right, so Ayrton, he looks powered. Look at the spray coming off of his board.
Yeah, that's the thing. You know, that's another advantage with that kite, I think. There's the upwind ability. He's going to have power straight through it. He's going to be able to get straight back up to the point, and, you know, it's not surprising to see him catch 3 or 4 waves in the same time as some of the other riders just getting their first wave. You know?
Very, very true. Ayrton coming in all the way in on the inside. Mitu out the back. Just looking, and it looks like Ayrton is hungry. He's going for some of the smaller ones. All right, let's have a look-see.
He knows he's got to get that second score. He's got the air over the rock section.
Nice.
It looks like the wave might peter out here, but, I mean, you can't fault the attempt. Oh, it's not easy. It's not easy to do airs here.
No, not at all. You really got to pop it off and push that board against the wind so it stays to your feet at the same time as driving yourself forward with the kite to be able to land back on the face. And here we can see Ayrton textbooking.
He just reads this. Look at this. Reads the boil, knows it's an air, bang, gets it. I mean, not many people could make that split-second decision. And actually, it's one thing for me that I'm really excited about for kite wave riding and how it's going to develop. Is that Ayrton making a swift kite
change? I think I got a feeling it looks, out of the corner of my eye, it looks like yes, it is. He's gone one size up. He's gone for a bigger kite. So
interesting.
I'm going to say it might even look like he's on, what would you call that, a 10? 10 or maybe even bigger.
Yeah, it's definitely a big kite for Ayrton, that's for sure.
Shorter lines.
Big kite for Ayrton. That's what I mean. He's really been playing with his equipment, just chatting to him on the beach. He's made some changes to his setup. He's definitely playing with different ways of riding, and he's really, really confident in being able to ride this break in some of the worst conditions, I would say. I think that's where he feels he's the strongest here, is he's capable of riding this place and this wave, even if there's hardly any wind and hardly any waves. And I think that's where he's relying on his advantage.
Yeah, no, and obviously, knowing the location as well, knowing the necessities that this break has, and already he has an 11 plus score. Let me just have a little look-see on how Sebastian did. He got a 13.60, so 13.60 is what we saw, and we can see a couple more of the athletes getting ready.
10 meter kites.
10 meters. So it looks like 10 meters is the go-to sky, and there we can see Woodley here on the inside with the green F1, that is Mito Montero, and with the yellow Rebel, that is Ayrton Corzolino.
It's one thing I'm most excited about, actually, about the later stages of this event and just kite surf wave riding in general is seeing the air game. Because, for me, obviously the air game in surfing has been developing for years, hugely, and you're seeing flips and rotations and all sorts of things going on. And for me, that's where the potential really lies in kiting as well, because obviously you've got the kite, you've got the potential to skirt sections, get around things you couldn't on a surfboard, and potentially go much bigger.
Yeah, I mean, I think, there's the sky is the limit, as they like to say, and really the air game has started to open out. And in these offshore conditions, you really start to see that. I mean, Punta Preta, this place is known from the windsurfing days, the likes of Josh Angulo, those big airs, but that is a hack if I've ever seen it. Ayrton is all pedal to the metal. Off the top, can he hold it? Big re-entry from Corzolino, and he is not leaving anything in the tank all the way down the line. The Cape Verdean under the flag of Italy,
right the way
killing it here all the way into the beach. And I know it looked like Mitu might have had something there in the back. We're waiting for that to come in. Let's see if we get a replay of that ride from Mitu Monteiro. All right, so we are going to have that replay of that last wave from Mitu. Here we go. So there we can see Woodley getting past that section, jumping off. Ayrton Corzolino, boom, that first hack.
I mean, that was a nice turn. I mean, but you can see he just does not give up. He does not let that wave get, nothing gets past him. Hey, here we go. And then Mitu following up in the background with another great wave selection.
Just all the way down, Mitu also, and going off the back. So let's go to the scorecards. Ayrton Corzolino, 8.23, so officially the best wave score of the day was that last ride there from Ayrton, totaling out at 15.33. Then we have a 6.63 for Mitu Montero, 11.33, so that is where we are. Ayrton Corzolino already throwing down. Sunglasses are on, GoPro is turned on. Now we're talking.
We're up here in the box, and things are heating up. That was a great score from Ayrton, and good to see some nice waves coming through as well. It looks like there's a few more lines lining up out the back, and delivering, like I said, for what is so far the best heat of the day.
Absolutely, and we're already coming in at about 12 minutes into this heat, so still plenty of action. We've had two good sets already, and there are multiple scores. Mitu Montero 6.63 top score, Ayrton Corzolino 7.10 as a backup score. So Mitu needs to get above the 8s if he wants to have a chance. But watch out, Red Bull helmet coming in hot. Ayrton Corzolino to drop in for wave number 3.
Here we go. Dropping in, fully committed, arcing that bottom turn and just slamming those fins. It's looking good, but you can see how fast this wave is.
Letting go of the bar and just whacking it out. It's impressive how he just releases that tail, and he wants to take every single little bit of the juice out the fruit here. Ayrton on fire.
Yeah, he really doesn't give up. Even when you think the wave's done. I mean, like for me, that wave's done, but he's got another 3 turns in there.
At least. I mean, you were saying it earlier today, Tom. Body language is not only about how the energy of the ocean, is the energy of the athlete. And you can see in Ayrton's body language, he's hungry. He wants this. It doesn't matter if it's a small wave, a big wave, a medium wave, or no wave. He is going to push against those fins as hard as possible. And that really does show that he is here for one reason and one reason only.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, that's he really loves it out there. He spends a lot of time. Out of everyone I know, he spends the most time on the water. And whether it's in competition, whether anyone's filming him, or whether or not no one's here, he's out there. Do you know what I mean? He's never not on the water. So I think just generally his energy just shows throughout, and I think that's one of the reasons why he's one of the best of all time.
Absolutely. I mean, they don't call him the alien for no reason. Ayrton Cozzolino, one of the top athletes we have on tour. Last year, the top athlete, your current world champion already, 15.33, highest combination score, highest wave score of the day, meaning business. And here we can see Woodley Hall, also a nice little wave all the way down, out there on that stubby nose on the whip here.
Looks like
he's just starting to enjoy it.
Dialing it in now, though. Yeah, he's getting the hang of that board a little more, looking a lot more relaxed through these turns now, finding that flow. And Ayrton just on the inside, taking another 10 turn wave, and really milking it.
And if Ayrton wins this heat, he would be going up against one of his fellow Cape Verdeans, as he would be going up against Jordi Sansa or Arsenio Diaz, as they are going to be battling it out in that round number 2. But still early days, because Mito Monteiro, the GOAT, they don't call him the GOAT for no reason. This guy could pick a wave off 2 seconds before the buzzer and still make his way through it. Look at that perfect front roll there from Ayrton on the replay. What incredible skills this young man has. I'm hitting the refresh button like the Duracell bunny here to see what the score was on that last wave. We now have, this is minute number 16, 4 minutes to go.
I mean, this is what I was mentioning about the air game. There's a long way to go, and there's a huge potential in this area. I mean, obviously it changes massively on the wind direction and the wave, and what you can do versus onshore versus offshore, and how you control your kite. But Ayrton is one of those riders that is pushing the air game into rotations, into big technical directions that I think a lot of riders have yet to really start pushing. So as the waves get bigger, it's going to be really interesting to see how some of these riders start to respond to that.
And there we could just see Kelton Lopez there getting ready, as he's going to be starting off that round number 2. One of the riders with the most amount of flow. You put this guy on the water on a dance floor, I can tell you there are some moves that are going to go down. Woodley here in the front going on a wave. It looked like Ayrton has decided against that one, as we have prime seats. Popcorn is already in the microwave, Tom, as we've seen some of the top actions so far. Mito Monteiro, Ayrton Cozzolino there making their way out the back. Ayrton having a couple of jumps and some fun. And it looks like Mito has suddenly turned around. I reckon he might be going for this wave.
This is looking like a nice one.
Yeah, there we can see a beautiful set wave coming his way. Is he going to be going on it? Ayrton looks like he's turned around as well. Is Monteiro going to be engaging? I do think he is going to.
Yeah, you can really see how it bends onto the reef, but it's not always the wave that you think that is going to perform the best. But it's all about that read, and as you can see there, I think he chose the wave too early in the set there.
Yeah, unfortunately, and there it is. So that is the end of that heat. Ayrton Cozzolino in first, Mito Monteiro in second, and Woodley Hall in third. Very, very powerful heat. But I will say one thing. Ayrton, in a league of his own, 15 points plus. Mito, 12.6, if I'm not mistaken, is the third highest heat score of the day. So even though he came in second position, he is in the third highest heat score of the day. So definitely meaning business. And as we said earlier, Tom, it is the first round. Nobody goes home. Now, round number 2, it is do or die. There we can see the crowd, the vibe, the event setup that we have down here in Punta Preta. And we're just waiting to enjoy some more kite surfing action.
lo que quiero después de esto para la pena, además que la están llamando. Sí, sí, no ha habido relevo. Bora, cria. Bora, porra. priority for both. Mira, para que sepas, mira cómo se ve allí, no se ve nada. Pero digo, estamos viendo. No podemos.
Okay guys, in case you wonder what was going on, there's a few technical issues going on here, but we're having a gap between the heats and we'll be back to live action very shortly. Just making sure that all the cameras and the feeds are set up properly, but I just thought I'd update you, so stay tuned. As you can see, the waves are starting to build. The sets are starting to roll in, and we're looking at some solid down the line kite surfing right there. I mean, look at that for a lineup shot. Just back to back riders sharing waves in paradise. I mean, it doesn't get too much better than that. That is pretty much the whole lineup right there for Punta Preta. It's probably double that length as the wave goes on and on from peak to beach, and it's the perfect spot to watch.
All right, and welcome back, everybody, as we continue on with the first day here of the GKA Kite-Surf World Cup in Cape Verde. Out there on the water, we are going to be starting off very shortly with that next heat, as we are going to be coming up with heat number 2 of round number 2. So Clement Roseo and Robertni Barros will be coming up next. Beautiful day of action down here for the first day in Cape Verde. Tom, already had some nice waves, some good sets. Sun is shining and the vibe is there.
I mean, it is a lovely day for it. It's hard to imagine not a lovely day for it out here, I have to admit. It's a great place to be, and the vibe on the island is always a good one. Yeah, it looks like the riders are having fun out on the water. I know Roberto Barrios is suffering from a current injury at the moment as well. I think that's something that he sustained the other day whilst he was training for the event. Strained his groin, which I know is probably going to maybe impact his performance in this heat. But also you got Clement, who's very at home in big waves, and at the moment it doesn't look like there are very many big waves coming through. So let's see. It's anyone's game on this heat.
Yeah, and we had a little tech issue that's resolved now, so we are back in action. And as you say, we're going to see the boys battle it out against themselves and Mother Nature. So what's it going to be? What's it going to be? Who is going to be making their way through? Because let's not forget, Tom, elimination round. What does that mean? Whoever loses in this round number 2 is down and out and has a one-way ticket home.
Yeah, and you know, as a rider, when you make the effort to compete on the World Tour, you're not only committing to the competition, you're committing to the travel to the destination, you're committing to the, you know, the whole experience of putting yourself against not only Mother Nature but all the other riders. And if you get knocked out in this round, it is a real kick in the teeth, because you've made the effort to get to the island. You're here for one reason and one reason only, and that is to get up there on that podium. And yeah, doesn't matter which way you look at it, if you go out in this